Q&Q Pharmacy. Quality healthcare at affordable price.
Holidays nale, adu namma GT Holidays da. South India's #1 travel brand.
Achi Badam Drink.
Achi Badam Drink. Onna vaangana onna free.
Hello everyone, welcome along to a swelteringly hot Paul Ricard circuit for the midpoint of this year's 24H series. My name is Ben Costanduris. In the commentary box for your qualifying session today will be myself and Joe Bradley. Diana Binks down in pit lane, and we are going to be joined by Simon Hill during race coverage tomorrow. But we're going to get the qualifying underway today. We will have qualifying for the TCE category, of which we have no cars, the GT4, GTX and 992 category first do their qualifying session, and then we will be coming to the GT3 category afterwards. Qualifying split into 3 separate sessions where we will see 3 separate drivers, and the aggregate of all 3 sessions dictates our grid. But we have a straight through 12-hour race tomorrow from 10 o'clock local time through to 10 in the evening, meaning that with a circuit so wide as Paul Ricard, qualifying is really a formality. It's a stunning day, as you can see from the pictures, around 34, 35 degrees air temperature. The tarmac is dark here, so it really absorbs that heat, and there is really not a cloud in the sky. Here is our international calendar. Our European Series kicks kicked off in Mugello in March and then headed to Spa-Francorchamps in April with Misano in May. We're at Paul Ricard now with Barcelona, the 24-hour race at the end of September, and then a trip over towards Asia for the end of the season. A newly announced event, probably since the last time we spoke, actually. As mentioned, the weather is stunning. There's a little bit of a breeze just to take the edge off that very intense heat, but classic Mediterranean heat. In fact, the bridge saying 33 degrees, our sensors saying 31. It really very much depends on where you stand. Either way, in race conditions, tomorrow is going to be hotter, and that is going to present a bigger challenge for all of our drivers and for our pit crew, who are going to be down in the sweltering heat, because there really is nowhere to escape from the heat and find some shade. And for today, at least, it is Diana Binks down there in the pit lane to report from what is happening. And we've already had a little bit of drama down during practice. Diana, how are we down in pits? We will just wait until Diana has her microphone switched upon and head down to her in just a second. Oh, there we go. Diana, go.
I had to disappear into the garage. So yeah, welcome everyone. This is the pit lane here at Paul Ricard. We're just about to get underway for the start of qualifying, which happens in a few minutes' time. Now we will see each class 3 sessions of 15 minutes a time. Then there'll be a gap in between of 5 minutes to regroup and rotate those drivers. We'll talk more about that in a second. The story that's sort of starting this qualifying session, unfortunately, is with the 909 Red Camel Jordan car. Paul Trustwell is very much the man looking after this team, Paul, a good friend of us here on the airwaves, but not the great start to qualifying that you guys would have wanted.
No, the engine blew up. There's a big hole in it. If you have ever seen a Porsche 6-cylinder with the engine with a big hole in it, we've got a big hole in ours. It wasn't near the end of its life. Porsches suggest we should run for 100 hours. We're nowhere near that. So we're talking to them. We've got a new engine. We're putting that in now. But it means we're going to miss qualifying. We've been given permission to start the race because it means that we won't have done the qualifying laps required by our drivers, but race direction has been very supportive, and we're going to be able to start the race. We'll be starting from the back, but long race, doesn't matter where you start, matters where you finish.
Of course, Paul, looking at the class championship, we're round 4 now. You're second in the 992 class, so there's a lot to play for as well.
Absolutely. Obviously, we're looking to win the race if we can. The Krone racing car, the RPM car, is the one that leads the championship. So come the race, that's the one we'll be trying to beat. The Mulner car is very strong as well. Interestingly, they've not done a lot of laps in the test session so far, so we don't quite know what their pace is going to be. They caused a bit of a stir as well in one of the private tests. So, yeah, we'll be keeping a close eye on this qualifying session whilst the mechanics are working hard underneath the car.
Okay, Paul, I'll let you get back to the team there because I know you've got a job in hand to do. Thank you very much, Paul Trustwell, there for Red Camel Jordan having a chat with us. So in the pit lane now, some of the cars are coming out, making their way onto the pit apron to go out on track. Now, the conditions here, I think Ben mentioned that the wind had picked up slightly, but not enough. It's absolutely scorching down here on the track. So we'll see what this first qualifying session gives us. It's a 15-minute session, as I said earlier. Then the cars will come in. They'll have a 5-minute regroup, and then another driver will get in. They'll rotate the drivers, so any team that has 3 drivers, that will be 1, 2 and 3 qualifying. Any other drivers, the team will make the decision as to which driver gets in the car. So I'll leave you back into the capable hands of Ben and Joe as this session gets underway.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Diana. As I mentioned earlier, we're seeing the GT4s, the GTX category cars, of which we have 4, and the 992 category cars, of which 7 are AMs, and the remaining are in the Pro category, and there's just 3 of those in the Pro category. But it's true that we may not see all of them. We're definitely not going to see Red Camels Jordan. We've checked in with them. We didn't think we would see Mulner Motorsport, but they have come out onto pits. And we have just got cars now onto their first flying lap. Lots of interesting cars to talk about, but we have already seen a rotation whilst Diana was talking, and just a little bit too excited on the throttle pedal. That was the 701 Vortex, which is driven by Lionel Amarouche. He's done a few laps in the car, so he should know how to handle the Vortex. Welcome along, Joe Bradley.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, very hot conditions there, giving us a very slippery track. We love Paul Ricard, don't we? It's an old school track, first used in 1970. Got a lot of rich history. Its history mainly being in the world of Formula One. But we've been coming here since 2015, so the 10th year that the 24H series ran here. Of course, back then, 2015, 2016, 2017, there was a 24-hour race. And it wasn't until 2021, we had a bit of a break. We haven't been back since 2021, where we first ran over 12 hours. And the challenge, as ever, for Paul Ricard is the heat. The heat, I mean, Di mentioned the wind, the Mistral, the famous Mistral wind is a very hot and warm wind that is created here, down on the, just off the coast of the Mediterranean. A beautiful venue to go racing. And I've got to say, Ben, a beautiful sight. You mentioned the GTX class, having 4 cars in that class. Very interesting class, if you're technically minded like I am. But 3 of those cars are the Vortex V8s. We've got 3 of them. And the 701 had that harmless spin. And I think it was the outlap that caught him out maybe on cold tyres. But those tyres don't remain cold very long.
All 3 are the newer version 2, the Vortex 2. And I think this is the first time we've seen all 3, well, 3 of the, certainly 3 of the 2. We've never had, I don't think we've ever had 3 Vortex 2s.
We've not had 3 Vortex 2s, you're right.
All Vortex 1s?
We've had 3 Vortex 1s at Mugello,
yeah.
A couple of years ago, I think. It might be more than a couple of years, but it was at Mugello.
Lionel Amarouche going for another spin. And I mean, he is a driver who knows this car well. He's involved in the financing of the car. So I'm surprised that he's struggling so much on these first couple of laps. Obviously feeling the heat because Vortex is a French brand designed in the center of France. And we do have a Nova in this class. First time that Nova has joined the 24H series, and it is even more of a prototype looking beast than the Vortex. It is also French designed and built from Nogaro, and therefore I think there's going to be some heavy drapeau flag flying across the next 12 hours as to who is the strongest French brand out there.
All of those 4 cars in GTX, they're basically like fireworks to drive. The Vortex 2.0, clearly, yes. A V8 Chevrolet engine strapped to your back on that one, and in the Nova, we've got a Ford V8, putting out towards 600 brake horsepower. All right, carbon frame chassis, very, very state-of-the-art in their build quality, all of the cars in GTX, but going to be very, very tricky to drive, and certainly over 12 hours in this heat. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge from all fronts, drivers, mechanics. It's going to be a grueling 12-hour race tomorrow.
Taking a quick look at RPM Racing, who are our championship leaders in the 992 category. That's the famous green colours of Tracy Krohn, who is here with his usual team of Nick Jonsson and Hamprecht. He's got a 4th driver in that car this weekend.
Yeah, they're leading the AM Championship. We're getting to that point, aren't we? 2 rounds to go in the 2025 season, and then we'll be crowning our European champions. And so if you haven't had the results go your way up to now time is running out. You really need a strong finish here at Paul Ricard. You then need to go to Barcelona for the 24 hours there and have another strong finish. And 3 strong finishes so far. 2nd overall in 992 at Mugello, 2nd overall at Spa, and 2nd overall at the last round at Misano for the RPM Racing. That's put them at the lead of the 992 class overall, and leading also their subclass within the 992 category. So it's going very strong.
Tracy Krohn is aboard the 907 for the moment, so he gets the best of the tyre. Remember, you're not allowed to change tyres throughout these 3 qualifying sessions, so the tyres are shared between the 3 drivers. The more work the first driver does on those tyres, the more he uses up the energy, and the other drivers in your car get less performance in theory. So Tracy Crone will be driver 1, and then Nicholas Jonsson and Philip Hampret will take over in sessions 2 and 3. There isn't a 4th driver in that car this weekend. They have had in previous events, and certainly at the Nürburgring 2 weeks ago, where they were running very competitively, they had a 4th driver as well.
I do like the format of the qualifying format in 24H Series racing. It's a full team effort, 3 drivers contributing to the grid position with the aggregate of the 3 qualifying sessions. Each session a different driver. What we may see is that the first driver, the AM driver, that must go on those fresh tyres, we see these drivers doing the minimal amount of laps, and then we'll see an equally minimal amount of laps in the second sequence of qualifying, giving the superstar driver that you can plug in qualifying 3 the best set of tyres you can after 2 15-minute runs.
Horrible understeer through Virage Dupont at the end of the lap, and he did run wide. He's got himself where is that lap? It stays bottom, as I think that's who's in the Ajith Kumar car. Fabien Dufaux spins in the Ajith Kumar Racing by Red Ant machine.
The chat is, Ben, because of the heat, the track is very slick.
Okay.
Everyone's struggling for grip. You can see the drivers tugging at the wheels, trying to get the cars to turn in. And I think in the practice sessions, we've seen a lot of teams trying to dial that setup in where they will be able to get the cars to turn. A lot of understeer being complained about.
So 15 of our 16 992 competitors now with a lap time. Martin Rump from Estonia up into 3rd position. So 2nd in AM behind Carlos Rivas in the Seb Lajou Racing Porsche. And actually Martin Rump now goes to the head of the standings. Yes, that's right, because the 2 cars ahead of him, so he's fastest in 992. The 2 cars ahead of him on your graphics there are the GTX cars of Arnaud Gomez in the 703, that's the Vortex, and then Sebastian Page, or Page, he's Swiss, so it's difficult to know, is the fastest in the Nova. That seems to be a lot faster really than most of the other cars. It's been given an extra 100 kilos over the car that races in the Ultimate Cup One Make Championship, which actually has 19 competitors when they raced here at Paul Ricard, and they race in a category that also races LMP3s, and the Nova was the faster, so they've been given 100 kilos to try and slow them down, because obviously we wouldn't necessarily want the GTX cars winning the race overall against GT3s. And actually, it's quite close at the moment. A 206 plays a 206.
Very close, actually. It's less than a 1/10 of a second difference between that 1st and 2nd place time. 2 minutes 6.834 for the Graf Racing Nova of Sebastian Page, and then a 2 minutes 6.941 for the Vortex V8 of Arnaud Gomez in 2nd place. The fastest 992 time, 2 minutes 7.778. So a little bit off the GTX runners in this session, but it's all about who you're racing in class, isn't it?
A first look at the Graf Racing Run Nova.
Purposeful, aren't they? It's a CN prototype, so it kind of sits between, it sits just underneath LMP3 regulations. It's not an LMP3 eligible car, but it certainly looks very dimension-wise very close to that category of racing that we're perhaps more familiar with. But a carbon tub frame. It's a proper closed-top coupe prototype, and no surprise that it's going very well. It reminds me a lot of the Radical R8C, which that was a small V8 engine motor in that car. This is a Ford V8 in that car, in that Nova. A Ford V8 strapped to your backside like that. It's going to push you around here very, very quickly. 550
brake horsepower that engine's producing. He's gone a half a second faster than the Vortex. Interesting, the Vortex already into the pits. That's the 703 car. We need to say not the Vortex, because there are 3 of them now. So we've got a 701, 702, 703, 703 is the traditional orange, as we would expect to see. 701 is red, but so is 702, but they're sort of a different type of red. difficult to explain, and it's going to be difficult to spot. But definitely 703 is the more standard orange, and we've got a slow-moving 992 car. That's the 910. Pierre Arnaud Navarro in Seblajou Racing, that is, and he's had a spin in turn 12 and now limping back to the pits, staying away and off the racing line. But Pierre Arnaud having a dramatic moment. That's, again, is that a different sort of colour to what we usually expect from Seblajou Racing?
Yeah, it has got a little bit of a different livery. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it used to be purple.
Yes, purple and black. It's gone blue and black. It's currently 8th overall, 4th in the 992 class. We've got all of our men runners in 992 coming into the pits now. Martin Rum currently quickest in 992. He's into the pits. Carlos Rivas in the 888 numbered Seblajou Racing entry we just seen there, and he is in the pits. Sylvain Pastoris in the HRT Performance, that's 3rd in the number 928, and he is in the pits also.
So yes, there is a purple Seblajou Racing car out there, the normal 888, which has Seblajou himself and Stéphane Perrin, Carlos Rivas and Paul Meyer, but then they have a second car entered as the Vortex spins once again, and that is got Jean-Laurent Navarro, Pierre Arnaud Navarro, and then Jérémy Fallinjean, I'm going to go with, and that is the blue one.
Now, the Vortex, Ben, seems to be struggling with perhaps too much grip at the front end, because the back end is continuing to come round on the drivers here. The 702 just having a harmless spin there towards the end of the lap. I think that's in turn 14. Dulac is the name of the left-hander there, and not the only Vortex to have the back end come around, but it's the rear of the car that seems to be not gripping at all, and it doesn't even seem like it's power oversteer as well. It seems to be carrying speed and then the rear end just giving up on it and coming round on the driver, because it's towards the middle, it's towards the entry to the middle of the corner where that car seems to be losing its grip.
Frank Lefebvre aboard the 702, who sits at the moment in 8th position in this first qualifying session with 30 seconds remaining. He can go again, and therefore he is. Lionel Amorouche has improved his time up to 4th spot, but the fastest in 992 is still Martin Rump, and Fabien Dufaux, actually after that spin, is up in 5th position now, 2nd of the 992s and best of the AMs. But let's have a look at the 702 of Fabien Dufaux through the first sector, 1.3 seconds back from Sebastian Page's best time. It's going to sound so English, Page.
Yes.
When it's suddenly not at all. But I'll get some clarity.
We'll get Dino to ask him out.
The difficult thing is,
what border is he close to, isn't it? In Switzerland.
Exactly. Switzerland is a multitude of different languages and cultures, and if he's over in France, then it's going to be Page, and if he's over closer to Germany, then it's more likely to be Page.
We've got a checkered flag. That's the first qualifying session, qualifying 1. For our GTX 992 and GT4s. GT4 currently being led. We've got 2 cars in GT4 for this round. We only had 1 GT4 car. That was the Venture Mercedes. They are back and they're being joined in the GT4 class by the BMW of Hannover Motorsport. Mark Verhoeven is the driver at the wheel of the number 419. That's the Hannover Motorsport BMW, currently lying in 2nd place. A little bit of a chunk of time off the Venture Mercedes. Christopher Jones is the driver. Chris Jones, the son of the father and son team. He's an AM driver, so Chris gets the opportunity to qualify that car first.
Let's get this Vortex over the line. He's gone green in the middle sector, so this should be an improvement. And he now comes round the penultimate corner, du Lac, and into Virage du Pont, which is the corner over the bridge. In fact, you can see where the tarmac's been resurfaced over the tunnel of the circuit, and he comes towards the line, and he does not improve in the end, unfortunately. A 2:10.4, and crucially, not only has he turned that car around to wear those tyres out, he's now put more laps on them.
Yes, he has 7 laps actually. And for me, I think Frank was trying to just find the grip level in that car. He was struggling. It looked like he was tippy-toeing around the track, daren't even go anywhere near the throttle pedal because the car was just spinning the rear wheels up and bringing that back end round. as we see Tracy Cron in the RPM Racing. He's done 5 laps on his tyres as Tracy, and he's qualified 7th in 992. Currently 11th place overall in this section. But we now go to qualifying 2, which is another 15-minute run. This time you can pretty much plug any of your drivers. Doesn't matter what grading they are. You can plug your Platinum, your Semi, your Pro, your Superstar in at this point. And there's a lot of teams that do that, giving that optimized driver their optimum run on a set of tyres that's only barely scrubbed in with, as we say, 4 or 5 laps. It seems to be the average life on the tyres that are out there at the moment.
And as we talk about tyres, don't forget that for the first time this year we are on Michelin tyres rather than Hankooks that we've run for many years in the Creventic series, and that has presented a very different challenge to our drivers. When we first met them in Mugello, they were really struggling on the warm-up on the first couple of laps when it was quite cold and damp, and we expect them to have more durability than the Hankook tyre in these hotter conditions. They're certainly stiffer with their sidewall, that's why they take longer to warm up, but we have a bit of a question mark over the durability over them. And you know, track temperature is going to be about 50 degrees tomorrow. It's going to be hot inside the car, but it's also going to be hot for those tyres. So how long can they go? I don't think we're going to see them double stinting, are we? But there is a new rule for this event, which is a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it is a bit. So the new regulation for this round is that you cannot use the tyre for less than 50 minutes. We'll probably go into this in more detail tomorrow, and because it's more about the race, this one. So 50 minutes minimum.
Bless you.
Yeah, thanks. Managed to get to the off switch before I sneeze. The other anomaly in the regulation is that if you have you put a driver out on a fresh set of tyres. I am going to sneeze again, Ben, so...
Joey's allergic to his microphone, as we established earlier today. Put the headset on and
can't be hay fever in this heat, can it?
There's hay fever for your mic.
So the regulation regarding the tyre, 50 minutes minimum tyre life. If you bring the driver in at 45 minutes on a new set of tyres, the next driver, he has to go out on the same set of tyres, and he's got to do a minimum of 50 on those tyres. Qualifying is this 3 sessions of 15 minutes each. Each session must be entered with a different driver. The driver change during the session is not allowed, so you can't plug another driver in during Q1. You have to wait until Q2 kicks off before your next driver gets underway with their qualifying. And the thing about the session that we've just seen, the first session must be with your AM driver. If you haven't got any AM drivers and they're all pros, well, then you put your pro in. But all the cars that are running AM drivers, you must run your AM driver first. Cars back out on track, Q2 underway, and this is where we see the aggregate times of the cars out on track being put together with the session times from Quali 1, and then we'll get an aggregate. And I really do like this, Ben, because it gives 3 drivers in the team. It's a team sport, endurance racing, and we're even doing that in qualifying here in the 24H series.
We began the world of WEC, I seem to remember, when I first started in 2012 with that same session, and then for a while it sort of moved away from the aggregate session, and we are now back with it. Certainly for Le Mans, they managed to shoehorn 3 drivers in eventually for most of the cars. The Ajith Kumar Porsche that is now run by Red Ant Racing started off with Baz Kooten running that car. Am I right in saying there's no Baz Kooten presence here?
I have not seen Baz with it. Yeah, that's very rare that he has missed the odd one, but usually he does have a customer car of some sort out. Unfortunately not. Hopefully we'll see him back out at Barcelona at the end of September. The 901 car, the Ajith Kumar Racing with Red Ant, is Mathieu Detry at the wheel of the 901 now. And Mathieu certainly no slouch behind the wheel of a Porsche Cup car.
So that means we're going to see Ajith Kumar in the 3rd session, because there are only 3 drivers in that car. Detroit is the semi-pro in that car, Dufault and Kumar the AM drivers. So this should elevate this car up the pecking order in the provisional qualifying session. We've got an onboard camera, so we can see what it. Well, I was about to say we can see what it's like around the circuit. I could give you a guided tour if you like, but unfortunately we've cut away from it.
So currently at the top of the timing screens after Q1, we've got the RAFA Racing Nova. That's the small prototype CN class car. It's in GTX here in the 24H series, and it's Luis San Juan at the wheel of the car. Tom Pieri is in the Vortex, currently second. Absolutely nothing in it. Absolutely nothing in it. 2 minutes 6.480 is the quickest time. 2 minutes 6.941. Less than half a second is the gap at the top, and it's all about bragging rights for who's going to be on the pole position for the GTX class. Currently quickest in the 992 class. We've got the Mulliner Motorsport entry. Julian Hanses is at the wheel of the 921. He's third overall and first in 992.
Just coming through Busse there, and sorry, Senior. That's Senior, and then Busse is this one. Green flag, green lights flashing all the way around the circuit. It's kind of unusual unless you are on the very first lap out of the pit. So I wonder whether something's maybe happened behind Nicholas Jonsson. There's nothing on our screens, but we ride on board with Nicholas now in third gear, coming through the final couple of corners. This right-hander is turn 13, which is Garlabat. More names on the circuit than I ever knew existed. This is then curved du Lac, and then the final corner is Virage du Pont over the bridge.
Historic corner, that Dupont, the last corner. Back in 1973, third year of this track's use. A debutant Jody Scheckter took out the current world champion in his Yardley McLaren by driving into Emerson Fittipaldi, much to Mr. Fittipaldi's chagrin.
Whilst Nicholas Jonsson goes into another lap and over the first couple of curbs and corners, we can go down to Diana in the pits, who's got an interview for us.
I have. I'm with Jose Garcia, who's driving with Lion Speed GP this weekend. Jose, first of all, welcome to the Creventic European Series. Great to see you here. You just got out of the car. You were part of that qualifying one session. First of all, what's it like to be back here in Creventic?
Oh, I've always loved Creventic. It's been a great experience so far. Aside from the heat, which is very hot, Paul Ricard was a great addition to the European Series, and we're extremely happy to be here.
During that qualifying session, how were you finding the balance of the car? Were you able to find anything more, or were you pushing it to the max?
Well, I mean, when the track gets so warm, I think it's like almost 60 degrees, the track temperature, you know, it becomes a little slower. But you know, you do what you can. You try to find the good thing is that there's not too many cars because they separated the qualification into two classes, and that really helps you not run into any traffic and really put in a good lap. You know?
Is that the objective of that qualifying one session? We know we've got 3 sessions to go to get that grid position for tomorrow's race. A long way to go in a 12-hour race, but collecting as much information and data and the handling of the tyres and the car for you, how important is that?
Oh, it's very important because of the fact that we're really the hottest part of the day right now, and tomorrow the race is going to be pretty much all in the sun because the sunset here is so late. So there's not going to be any night driving. It'll be a little cooler in the morning, but we expect high temperatures the entire day. So as much data as you can collect now, tire degradation, speeds, which corners are. We had a problem with the splitter because of certain corners. So you want to take all that in and then put that into your race plan for tomorrow and your strategy.
Are you satisfied with your performance during that qualifying session?
Yeah, it's traditionally I've always run GT4, as you know. So this is my first year in the 992 Cup. So I literally yesterday was my first day in the car. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more. It's a lot less friendly than the GT4. But I'm enjoying it very much.
What are the main differences then between the GT4 and the 992 for you?
GT4 has air conditioning. The 992 does not. In this heat, that's a big difference. The GT3 Cup is more of a race car than the GT4. It has a lot more power, a lot more horsepower, but it also has some aerodynamics that allow it to turn better, and it's a lot less forgiving. A GT4 car is very forgiving. It's a great car for gentlemen racers because you make a mistake, the car tends to help you correct it. While the GT3 Cup is a lot more raw. It's more like a wild horse. You have to really tell it where to go in order to really, really get the best out of it.
Jose, thank you so much for talking to us. I'll let you get back to watching the action there.
Great. Thank you very much.
And Jose, run by Lion Speed, the 992 category car, with Patrick Niederhauser and Patrick Kolb as his teammates. So he really just needs to keep it on the island, and if he does so, they should be on form for a good result. Patrick Niederhauser in that car at the moment, 7th position with his fastest lap, but we just saw him getting pretty badly balked by the GT4 Venture Mercedes, so he's going to have to go again. Niederhauser, let's not forget, was fighting for victory at the Spa 24 Hours this time last week, so he really is one of the very, very highest performers in GT3 racing.
If you have latched onto the website and are looking at the live timing, you might notice in the column to the right, you've got the tyre age column, and at the moment, the Homolfa Motorsport BMW car 14 is showing running the tyre age of 19 laps. Well, it showed that the car had done 16 laps, which is pretty much an impossibility in a 15-minute qualifying one session. So I think that's a bit of a glitch. I wouldn't have thought that they were using an old set that had already done 8 or 9 laps before they put them on in Q1. But that's showing a 19-lap tyre age, which I think can't possibly be right. I mean, the longest run of tyres we've had is the number 702. That's stayed right out there. That's the Vortex. Solène Amarouche, that's the daughter of Lionel, in the car at the moment, the 702. And she is on 11-lap old tyres at the moment, having had that car running almost to the very end. Well, it did run to the checkered flag, didn't it?
I think that BMW was on old tyres when it was...
it must have been.
Because when we saw that graphic at the very beginning of the session, it did have a number beside it, so they've bolted on tyres that have already done 7 or 8 laps.
And the system picks up from the barcode on the tyre, it picks up how many laps the tyre has done as it exits the pit lane.
Watching Matthew George come over the line, a 2:12.517, and that is good 5 seconds faster than the car managed in Q1. We've still got the Nova as our fastest car, both in qualifying 2 and also the average time. It's nearly a second faster now than the Vortex 703. We do, of course, expect the 2 GTX cars to be at the head of our timing, ahead of our 992 category cars. Mathieu Detré is the fastest of our 992s with the time of 2:07.3, and that has not been bettered. It has been. Niederhausen's done a 7.1 and then slower on the last lap. So Niederhauser, I'm sure Niederhauser can do better than a 7.1, sorry. Because at the moment, that's not even the fastest time in... No, it is the fastest time in 992, but only by a little bit. So Detré is doing either Detré is doing a great job to be just as close to Niederhauser, or there's more time to be found by Patrick in the 957.
I think I've sussed out why the Homolfa BMW there, the number 419, is on old tyres. There's no reason for it not to be honest. There are 2 cars in the GT4 class, and they're probably saving their wallet a little bit and not needing to run a new set in qualifying. They know they're going to be on the grid alongside the Venture Mercedes, and they are keeping their sets of tyres for the 12-hour race across the weekend, across tomorrow, of course. So it's a bit of a cost-effective run in qualifying. They know they're going to be alongside the Venture car potentially.
Homolfa Racing we saw at Spa. That's the Verhoeven family, father and 2. Is it father, brother, and son? I have a feeling it is, rather than 2 brothers and a dad. It's 2 brothers and a son rather than 2 brothers and a dad. And as I say, we saw them at Spa. They're back with their BMW M4 GT4 from Belgium. And great to have a little bit of competition, because we did miss out, or Venture missed out on having a competitor at Misano last time out. We had 3 cars in the entry the previous event, and even Mugello, I think we had more than the single GT4 entry. Mugello we had 3 as well, because of course we had the local Lotus. So yes, good to have another one back. Thanks for coming back to us, Homolfa.
And of course, the Venture Mercedes team, they won the Spirit of the Race award because only being the only car in the GT4 class at Mazzano, they didn't hold back. They optimised their run across the length of the race and even caught themselves out, didn't they, by pushing the envelope. Daniel Bishop there overseeing the strategy on the running of that car, so and just pushing the edge.
Niederhauser's done a 2:06.7 on that last lap, but because of the average, he stays down in 11th position. Fastest average time is the 888 Seblejoux Racing Purple machine, which is now to the head of the 992 category. And I have to say, Paul Meyer, just watch, he must have made a mistake on that last sector because he's now decided to bail out and come into the pits. But he really was on another great push lap, and there's only 0.3 of a second off Patrick Niederhauser. And Meyer is not a pro. Meyer is, okay, he's a semi-pro in that car, but in terms of grading, I would say not to the same level as Niederhauser. So that was a really, really good effort from Paul Meyer, who sits, I'm a bit confused, yes, that's right, sits ahead of Patrick Detrey in the 992 category.
Yeah, Paul Meyer's very, very impressive. He goes quicker literally every time we see him at the wheel.
Displaying the graphic on the screen that you can see, it's in order of the average lap time, but it shows the order of fastest laps doesn't the order of the cars. We've got just two other cars, three cars still out on circuit. The four also have Holmgard Porsche 902 out of 9 and Elf, green and red liveried Porsche 992. They're at the tail of the AM category at 992 at the moment, so looking to improve. And so Martin Schuttler's just gone back out onto circuit to try and improve that lap time, even though the checkered flag is now out. And Rasmussen comes over the line. It was an improvement on time, but it wasn't an improvement on position, and stays 7th.
Which is 4th in the 992 class overall, 3rd in the 992 AM subclass. And things beginning to get very serious, isn't it? At the moment, we've got the GTX class being led by the Nova, the RAFA Racing Nova. Luis San Juan just bringing that car back into the pits. It's on the GTX pole, and the average, quickest average, is 2 minutes 6.366. Tom Pieri in the Vortex, he's 2nd in GTX. And then in 3rd place in GTX is the 2nd of the Vortex runners, that's 701 numbered car. It's the 703, by the way, the 703 numbered Vortex, that's 2nd in GTX. 701 is 3rd, and 702 Solen Amarouche in that Vortex V8, currently 4th in GTX. And then with the cars making flag, everybody else has called it a day for qualifying 2. Being led with that outstanding lap of a 2 minutes 7.04 overall, 2nd quickest car overall in that 2nd qualifying session. Plate numbered Seblejoux Racing Porsche. They have gone at the 2 minutes 8.088 and then 2 minutes 8.227 for Ajith. Another quick lap from him, 2 minutes 7.367. And then the 3rd quickest average in 992 of the Mulliner Motorsport, Julian Hand 9.2.
Endurance racing is all about the combination of drivers in a single car, and of course we've seen 2 of our drivers, but fast drivers. Against Ajith Kumar, perhaps faster. Let's go down to Diana, who's got another interviewee after that second session.
I'm with Seb Ledoux Racing. Paul Meyer and the 12H car has just jumped out of that car. Paul, first of all, I've got to call you Paul Rocket, apparently.
Yeah, the team says so, huh? Yeah.
They told me I could only have an interview if I said that.
Okay, yeah, it's a good nickname they gave me since the beginning of the season. And yeah, and this session actually was the best time of the day, I think, from the Porsches. And I didn't really expect, because we had some problems with the tire pressure. But now in the end, in quali, it worked out, and the lap was really nice. So.
How satisfied are you that you got the most out of the car, the handling, and obviously your driving style?
Yeah, especially that we get everything out of the tires in the car, because we were struggling with the heat and didn't know what to do actually with the pressures and temperatures and everything. Yeah, it worked perfectly now in this session. So yeah, if we can keep it up for the race, we will be fine.
The qualifying sessions are, you know, we've got different classes, so you've got more room out there on track. There's less traffic to manage when you're trying to put in those lap times. Is that something that you prefer?
Yeah, 100%. I think they should do it always like this, just split the field in qualifying. So that's actually the most important thing for us, that we have 3 laps. And one car in front of me spun, but it was just in time that I entered the zone, or entered the sector, that it was green again. So I was quite lucky there.
How would you describe this circuit? What is it you have to do to get the best lap possible?
Yeah, everybody normally says it's a really easy track because you have so much runoff area. But actually, we found out you have some flaps on the exit to make sure we don't cross the track limits. And if you hit that one, we destroy the splitter, and sometimes our coolers in the cars as well. So you really need to pay attention, and you can't go over the edge. So it's quite demanding.
What's your hopes for the end of qualifying?
Yeah, I think if Sebastian does what he normally does, just a good lap, we should be okay for quali and front row in the class, I think.
And how hot is it behind the wheel in that car?
Yeah, I was just saying, I did only 3 laps. You see my face. It's like been to the sauna for like 10 minutes. So tomorrow doing stints of 1 hour 20, 1 hour 30 will be really crazy hot in the car.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's got to be a concern tomorrow. They're going to have to really work on keeping the drivers cool, because it's going to be a massive talking point. There are those floppy bollards that we were hearing about, and they look very soft and very friendly, but as we're hearing, they are a splitter destroyer.
Yeah, you don't want to hit them. You don't want to go out the way that they do the off track here at Paul Ricard. For a lot of years, it stopped running racing here. The Grand Prix left here, the Formula 1 Grand Prix left here, and it was a test facility. And that's where we see the painting on the runoffs. We have got little or no gravel traps. However, if you do run off there, it is all tarmac, but it's a different grading of tarmac the further off track you get. So if you run onto the blue striping, then the texture of the tarmac is so rough that it will hurt your tyres. You go further off, and the grading of the tarmac gets even rougher and rougher as the further off you go. If you go right off, it's the sort of tarmac that will tear you. If you rub your training shoe of the sole of your shoe across it, it takes the sole of your shoe off. So soft racing rubber, if you go all the way out there, you're going to ruin a set of tyres. So it's a way of curbing. Obviously, track limits, you just want to be on that curb, just letting the car breathe across the exit curbs, and it's just stifling that momentum as they come through corners, letting the car breathe onto the curb, not hitting those, as you said, splitter damaging little flappy bollard things.
The red and blue runoff areas was an investment for Bernie Eccleston when he was the owner of the circuit, and this was sort of a project and an experiment for potential Formula 1 circuits of the future, but that was a good 20 years ago, and thankfully we didn't go to every race circuit being it was described to me by not a racing fan, just somebody who knew about Paul Ricard as the Playmobil racetrack, because from above that's what it kind of looks like, and I think it makes it look very attractive, but I still believe that there is space in the world for grass and gravel, and we wouldn't want all racetracks to be like this. That red, well, actually both, it's an asphalt and tungsten mix.
Is it really?
Which is what creates the abrasiveness. And as you say, the blue and the red are different types of abrasion, with the red being so extreme that you do really rip your rip your tyres apart. So we're into qualifying 3, the third of our drivers in the cars. The laps are beginning to begin, and we have a fight for pole position between Eric Choulier and Olivier Gomez in the Vortex, the owner of Vortex in the 703, and really sort of they're pulling out all the stops, the Gomez's, because both of them are there with their semi-pro, and they've separated themselves from some of the other drivers to really give the 703 the best possible chance, and that is the orange Vortex that we are following with a purple sector, and somebody spinning off underneath our camera. Oh no, sorry, that was the Vortex spinning, and it was a very odd spin.
Yeah, it was. It looks like the rear end just gives up, doesn't it? You're leaning on that rear end through the corner, and you think you think you've got it. Maybe I'm not even seeing it being heavy-footed approach. He hit the curb on the left, which made the car go light, and the rear end, which is barely gripping right on the limit, and you've just broke that traction, haven't you? And around the car comes. So he will have not damaged his tyres too much, but he did end up on the blue runoff there, so remains to be seen. This is the session, Ben, with just under 11 minutes remaining, where we will see the grids formed for the start of tomorrow's race for GTX 992 and GT4. So it is all important, as you said.
Eric Choulier has been part of the European Le Mans Series, driving an LMP3, so has experience of the sort of prototype that really he's sitting in now. The Nova is very much a prototype car, and whilst this session goes on, let's quickly drop down to Diana.
I'm with Tracy Crone with the RPM Racing number 907992 class. Tracy, you went out for that first qualifying session, but the car for the second qualifying is being sort of on the pit apron for some time. Is there an issue?
Yeah, you know, the car is very loose in most of the corners here because of the heat. But I don't think of it as an issue. You just have to be really patient here.
How did you make of that first session out on track?
You know, it felt like being home, back in Houston in the heat. Just not quite enough humidity.
I mean, but getting behind the wheel, of course, it's, you have to keep. That's the 907 just leaving now, but you definitely have to keep hydrated during this.
Yeah, you know, we stay hydrated. I think I've drank more water and electrolytes this week than I have in a long time. But, you know, it's that's not really what's bothering me. What's bothering me is the dust. Got a lot of the Saharan dust coming in here. That works on my sinuses. You know, the car's fine, the heat's fine. Dust sucks. Yeah.
Tracy, how would you describe this Paul Ricard circuit from a driver's perspective?
You know, this is an amazing track. It's very... for me, the reference points are difficult to pick up when I haven't been here in a while. I've been here several times, but it takes me a while to get that. And then once I do, I mean, I don't really mind pushing the car hard because there's not a whole lot of places you can screw up and hurt yourself. So, you know, a good FIA track like this is very beneficial, I think, for most drivers. It's a very safe track.
And how much is the track evolving as you're out there? I know we're sort of early on into the weekend. Obviously, this is qualifying now. We've got a 12-hour race to go, but it's still evolving every time you go out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think our highest measurement was about 57 centigrade on the track. So, and it's about 90 to 95 ambient Fahrenheit. And then I don't know what it is in the car. I don't really think about it too much. We're used to driving in the heat, so that's okay. But the track doesn't really change that much. I mean, other than it's not the track, it's the tires that change so much, of course. But it does feel like in a couple of corners, the asphalt gets a little liquid.
But you enjoy pushing yourself to the limit here to make sure you get the best position possible going into that race, or are you not focused on that position ideally in qualifying?
You know, I mean, I think qualifying is important. I think it gives you a good idea of what it's going to be like when you really need to push. And so I think that's very valuable. As far as position in qualifying, it's not really important in a 12-hour race like this. I think it's really, I mean, they call it endurance racing for a reason, right? Yeah.
You have to have endurance. You have to have endurance in the pit lane.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I said you have to have the endurance in the pit lane as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's really hard just walking around on the concrete. You need to stay inside. Yeah. So,
Tracy, thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you.
Fastest time of the afternoon has gone to the Vortex, number 7:03. Olivia Gomez has put in a 2 minutes 5. First, and at the moment only car to enter in into the 2 minute 5 lap times. It still hasn't put the car about half a second, just about 4/10.
Are these different rated of drivers? They also have a variety of amount of laps on their tyres. Interestingly, the 910, which is the other Sebleju Racing car of Jean-Laurent Navarro, that's only done 8 laps on its tyres, so they've been very, very limited on what they've managed to do over the first couple of sessions. Here comes the Mullen Motorsport machine of Valters Zavridis, and he comes over the line for a 2:09.667, and that is 0.6 of a second slower than the Q2 time. The average stays about 3.5 tenths, so stays on the front row for 992 alongside the Sebleju Racing machine. Don't forget that that 888 car was written off at this circuit in April with a mammoth accident in Ultimate Cup racing, but they rebuilt it to get themselves back to racing at Spa. So they know this place very well. They've done a lot of laps around here, and they're showing it because they are leading the 992 category class.
Getting towards that most important part of any qualifying session, the final checkered flag about to fall in 5 minutes time, and we're getting towards the tyres beginning to maybe be stretched a little as well. They've got 13 to 17, some cars doing 19 laps. The GT4 BMW of Amorpha Motorsport, that car is on tyres that have done 27 laps, and they are no doubt, they're not optimising their qualifying session with only 2 cars in GT4. They're happy to follow that number 421, the Venture Mercedes. Neville Jones, the team principal and driver of the Venture team, currently on the GT4 pole position. Not much time in it though, Ben. 2 minutes 18.3, 2 minutes 18.6. That's the gap in GT4 on aggregate, that is.
Could have been improvement for Graf Racing of Eric Trullier, who does the ultimate fastest lap in these qualifying sessions. A 2:05.871 goes faster than Olivier Gomez and extends their advantage at the head of our qualifying field. For the moment, we are not finished with qualifying after this qualifying 3, because we go back to qualifying 1 for the GT3 cars, the cars that will be at the front of the grid come tomorrow morning at 9:30. Over the line for Mulner, for Zavridis, and the average stays the same, and he stays on the front row, but not on the pole.
So 2 minute 5.871 becomes the quickest lap, and I'm pretty sure that we're not going to see that time beaten now. Certainly not from any of the GTX runners. The Vortex, that was very, very close to that Graf Racing Nova. That had already pulled into the pits. Olivia Gomez already calling it a day. They're happy with where they are. Third in GTX then currently Philippe Bonnell. In the other Vortex, they are currently third on a 2 minutes 8.921, and then fourth Philippe Burel is on the set in the 702 Vortex, and they're currently fourth in GTX. Only 4 cars in the GTX class. 992 on the other hand, that's still all to play for, with green personal best lap times from the 2 runners at the front, Sebastian Lejeune in the 888 car, and the number 421, that blue and white Valters Zavridis Mulliner Motorsport Porsche still pushing till the very last there, just to treat, isn't it, for the 992 class? You can argue till the cows come home. We've been arguing it for years, decades, just how important is qualifying for a 12-hour motor race. Well, it's the most important thing right now, and it'll be the most important thing at dinner tonight, because we can brag we're on pole and we're ahead of you. Might not be the same tomorrow afternoon, but that's not what it's about today.
The dead is the average lap time for that car, which is 9th in qualifying. We do have improvements coming in, though, for Kim-Andre Hauschard in the 928 HRT Performance Porsche. They're 5th in AM at the moment, 6th overall in 992, but there's 2 green sectors from Kim-Andre, and I'm expecting that car with an improvement come the end of the lap, as we see the GT4 and the Vortex come over the line, and no improvements from either of those. Oh no, Neville did improve his lap time.
Yeah, personal best for Neville, 2:20.809, so he is going quicker in this session. Just getting into the slipstream of the Vortex there, through the tight. Some sweeps, some tight and twisty turns here at Paul Ricard. It's a very technical track. A lot of the time you're thinking about 2 corners ahead of you than the one that you're in, because they all lead on to one another, and it's sometimes a compromise. We've got a car stopped on track. The hazards are going. I'm not sure. I think it's offline, so it's not going to cause too much of a problem. And indeed, a red flag has been called. 45 seconds on the clock. That might be the red flag coming out with a checkered flag, though, Ben. They may call that a day, because with 45 seconds on the clock,
yeah,
we're not going to have time to rerun that 45 seconds.
And a little bit premature, I'm afraid, because Jean-Laurent Navarro, with this big lurid spin coming onto the Mistral straight, the car goes into sort of an automatic fail with its hazards on, and I think that's why race control then reacted to it and put the red flags out, thinking that that car wasn't going any further. But Jean-Laurent has managed to get the car fired up again, and he's heading back to pit lane. But for those on laps, and there weren't many that were going to improve, to be fair, that has interrupted the end of our qualifying session.
Well, the 3 cars that are currently at the top of the timing screens, they were already in the pits. So the other cars that were out, they were trying to shave a little bit of more time, maybe improve their grid position, maybe move up another slot for a better starting position. But at the moment, they're all making their way around to the pit lane, where a decision will be made with regards to, and I can't see them running 45 seconds, because it would be an outlap.
It says not resuming.
Oh, I see. I didn't see that.
My laptop's full.
Yeah.
Right, so we now know who's on pole position in GT4, in 992 and in GTX, and Diana is going to be chatting to some of them.
Yes, Venture Racing, Matt George, and the 4-2-1 provisional pole at the moment. The red flags just ended that session a few minutes earlier, but you were on the pace straight away today and looked pretty comfortable. Would you say that was a good summarise?
Yes and no. I think if anyone says they're comfortable in this heat, they're definitely lying. It's quite difficult to manage the tyres, and the temperature in the car is absolutely crazy. But yeah, the guys have been doing amazing. Chris and Nev have been doing an amazing job since we got here. And my personal qualifying was really good. As most of the drivers will know, it's not very often you finish a lap and you genuinely sit there and you're like, I have no idea how I could go any faster. And I managed to do one of those today, and yeah, I'm super pleased with it. The Venture team have done an amazing job. The car feels super hooked up, and yeah, just 12 hours to go.
How much work and preparation did you and the team do ahead of Paul Ricard?
Loads. We always do loads. Us and the guys at Venture, we tend not to mess around in how we go racing. So drivers been doing loads of sim prep, loads of fitness, even sauna work, knowing that it was going to be super hot coming here. And the guy is always prep an amazing car. There's never a stone left unturned. And yeah, everyone works so hard. We're all here for one goal and a good time while we do it. So
a satisfying day so far.
Yeah, so far pleased. We were humbled a little bit at Spa, so we know we've got a long way to go, but right now with that particular qualifying session, we're happy. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Matt.
Thank you.
I want to know what sauna work is. Is that just literally sitting in a sauna?
No, not just sitting in this. I would like to. I mean, Keke Rosberg used to do
push-ups and take his exercise bike into a sauna and train in a sauna. I would like in the sauna.
Well, that's sauna work for me.
That's the sort of gym I used to be a member of. Yeah, I'm off to the gym, which meant I'm off to the sauna.
Sit in a sauna. Here is the combined the Nova, a new car to the championship on the provisional pole position, 0.6 of a second ahead of the 703 Vortex. Best and his band of merry men ahead of the 921 of very strong lineup of Kolb, Niederhauser and Garcia. 9 and Elf in 13th, and then the 2 GT4s of Venture and RAFA Racing rounding out our 15 qualifiers. Don't forget Red Camel's Jordan, though, didn't qualify. Brand new engine for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, they were missing in action, weren't they? But they will be a factor tomorrow, Ben, no question.
And the highlights of our qualifying sessions for the GT4, the GTX and the 992 category. Out on circuit, over 55 degrees track temperature, not always adjoining with the Michelin tyre. New tyres for our visit to Paul Ricard. The first time in a few years that we've had this on our calendar, and it's great to have a return to the south of France. The Venture GT4 machine, just the two GT4 cars of Homofa and Venture, whilst plenty of drivers really struggling with the Paul Ricard circuit. But on the pole position, the Nova and Seb Lejeune doing a very good job to have. Let's head down now to Diana.
GTX class pole. To have a chat with me now as we stand here in this very hot pit lane. But what a debut for yourselves, the team here at Paul Ricard.
Yeah, it's our first time for the team here. Also the first time for a Nova car. Yeah, I mean that's a great satisfaction. It's very hot, but I think we are very pleased with the car. To
You had a BOP performance put on you because of that, but tell me a bit about the car, the characteristics, and what makes it so good.
I think that the car is very well balanced, and it's still a prototype, so we don't have any ABS, for example, compared to the GT cars. So we still have to to drive the car with the braking, to have a degressive brake, and so it's you have to to adjust your driving with this kind of prototype, but which I think make this kind of car very fun to drive.
How much testing did you do before you arrived here?
Well, personally, I didn't do any testing, but with the rear wing, we don't have the same rear wing that we are using in other races with this car.
Well, it's a fantastic debut, class pole for the 12 hours of Paul Ricard.
Yeah, no, we're very pleased with it. Yeah, so now let's see tomorrow with the race.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully, Diana there with the interview with Sebastian Page. Has asked Sebastian what his second name pronunciation is, and now we are sticking with Page.
Page. It's easy for us to say.
Is.
That's more English pronunciation, isn't it? So we're happy with that. And a great addition now then, I would like whoever owns any kind of Nova out there.
Not the Vauxhall Nova.
Not the
Opel Nova.
Yeah, of course not. I'm talking about the prototype.
All of the
I'm
Novas.
talking about the Nova prototype, please. The CN class car that we can fit very nicely into our GX category. We'd like a grid of about 10 of them, please. That'll be phenomenal. I'm interested to see how the car fares. It's up against the 3 stalwart entries in the 24H series of the 3 Vortex cars. It's going to be undoubtedly, Ben, a race of attrition. In this weather, with a track temperature at the height of the sunshine, I believe tomorrow's going to be even hotter. So we saw, what did we do? We're always quoted there. I can't wait to speak to a tyre engineer tomorrow and find out what the track temperature
57.
is. But we're getting towards 60-degree track temperature. Yeah. The air is hot, the air is thick. It's going to be down to the drivers that we're about to see in the 3 segments of qualifying. This is where we're going to see the car on the overall pole position for the 2025 12 hours of the circuit, Paul Ricard. This is where it's going to be. And you know what? We've seen how tricky this track is. We've heard drivers tell us how slick the track is, and that's purely down to the heat. The sort of track conditions we see now are the sort of track conditions we're going to be racing on. So it's all right. Today, this afternoon, it's all about maximising the 3 runs on that 1 set of tyres. Tomorrow, it's going to be all about prolonging the life of those tyres to see if we can just edge out a little bit of, perhaps a little bit of double. I'm not even going to think about triple stinting the tyres in the way that the temperatures are out there.
I mean, also just the drivers as well. Something like a Vortex probably is not going to have air conditioning either. So I
never think of the drivers. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, the drivers are just yeah, exactly. Just get a drive. What do you mean? What do you mean you're tired? Get back in there. I need you to do several laps at absolutely optimum speed for the next 5 hours.
I like that Tracy Crone was sort of saying, yeah, we're used to this being from Houston, Texas. I challenge him not to look a little bit ruffled under the feathers when he gets out the car after a stint. We're definitely going to see stints of over 50 minutes because of this new tyre regulation whereby you're not allowed to change a tyre under 50 minutes. So stint lengths will be that. And if you do end up going under, then you need to keep those tyres on, and that will be even more of a disaster. So getting yourselves to the 50 minutes is going to be very important. Let's switch our attention, switch our brains to GT3. 16 cars in the GT3 category, and there is our championship leader, Scuderia Praha. So great to have them back with us. Took a bit of time to get used to it not being red, but it's a cool livery, and it's great to have Joseph Crowell and his boys back.
And Joseph leading the Drivers' Championship as well. This team leading the championship going into the final 2 rounds. They've only had 1 podium. That was at Spa. They scored 14 points at Mugello and 24 points at Mazzano. The first 3 rounds, the first round Mugello was won by the Manamari Energy by EB Motors, Porsche. The second round was won by Zico Sport Tempesta. And then the previous round at Mazzano to this one, the Haas RT Audi came through, didn't it? Who's going to be at the front? Who's going to be on the top step of the podium overall for the 12 hours of Paul Ricard? Tomorrow night, we start the race at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We go all the way through the full 12 hours till 10 p.m. What are you smiling at? What are you all excited about?
I love 12-hour races when they're split in half.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, yes. I mean, why haven't we split this one in half? We're in the south of France, for heaven's sake. No, Ben, this one, we're running straight the way through. 10 a.m. till 10 p.m.
We're in rosé weather land. We're in rosé land and rosé weather. We should be...
You're talking about the wine, of course.
Yes, I am. Well, also my cheeks. Tan.
Yes. Yeah, I'm English, so I'm very red and rosy.
You know, a nice 10 till 4 o'clock, and then head down to the beach for a couple of bottles of rosé, and then do the other half on Sunday.
Come back tomorrow. Do it on Sunday morning when it's nice and cool. I'll have a word with the organisers. The challenge is, though, #this is endurance.
Oh, yeah.
The challenge is to get your cars, your drivers, It's like a Japanese game show, isn't it? It's an endurance game show, isn't it? You're not going to get voted off on this one, though, guys. You're going to go all the way to the checkered flag, and it's getting those cars. And we're going to talk about the tyres. We talk about the tyres, whether the weather is cold, hot, whatever. If it's cold, we talk about we can't get enough heat into them. If it's too hot, we can't get them to last. Well, it's going to be the team that sets their race car up to make those tyres work across the longest length in a fuel stint and to maximise their runs tomorrow. And then the human element, Ben, and we've got, remember, the human element here at Paul Ricard.
Remember the humans?
Remember the humans, yes, I try to. We've got paddling pools filled with cold water out the back of each pit garage. Those paddling pools, I believe, are supplied by the series organisers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we will see tomorrow, no doubt, we will see drivers get out of their cars after a hot stint and basically, without even taking their race suits off, go and lie down in the paddling pools, which are replenished with buckets of ice, I've got to say. And it's just to get rid of the heat.
Yeah.
It gets rid of the heat. The body will overheat, the brain overheats. That's when you get into trouble. And that's what we mean by driver fitness. It's not about whether you can turn the steering or whether you can press the pedals. It's about whether you can maintain that concentration and focus in these extreme weather temperatures to the point where you can perform to your utmost and focus on getting through the traffic in class.
Worth pointing out that a GT3 car, as we're now looking at the GT3 category, does have air conditioning and does have a system to keep the temperature inside the cockpit of the car within 7 degrees of the ambient. And actually, that's a regulation at Le Mans. And so the systems are in place to do that, to protect drivers. But in Spa last weekend, it wasn't a regulation that catches you out. You can't be penalised like you can't be penalised here. So Le Mans, if your cockpit goes above 7 degrees of over ambient, all right, that's still 42 degrees here. That's still quite hot. Then you would get a penalty. So there is air conditioning systems in these cars, but racing
GT3 cars there is,
GT3
Ben.
cars,
Not in the 992 Cup cars.
No,
there isn't.
and probably not in the Vortex or the Nova.
Yeah.
I imagine the
I don't know about the Nova.
cars.
Maybe not. It saps power.
Yes.
Turn the air conditioning off. You're going to get a little bit more power, a little bit more performance.
And that's the point. That yes, that's available to the drivers, but the engineers, because you guys engineers don't think about humans, will want it off to be able to get the cars to go faster. So maybe not in qualifying, but maybe in the race we'll see that air conditioning used. We have a plethora of very exciting, different-looking GT3 cars. There's about 13 different GT3 homologated SRO cars available to be used in GT3 racing as of today. Some coming to the end of their homologation cycle, such as the Bentley. But we have a good difference from Audi to Lamborghini, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes, and of course Porsche. So a real plethora and mix of cars to enjoy. And the format is exactly the same between our 3 sessions. Q1, Q2 and Q3 combined to make an average qualifying. All the usual suspects from our championship, whether it be our championship leaders, Scuderia Praha, we've got Haas RT or SRT, if you really want to pronounce it correctly. It's quite funny when people try and get that right. And great to have E2P Racing campaigning that Aston Martin. A couple of different teams and cars to get used to. TFT just coming out of the pit lane there. It's a French team based out of Nogaro, and they are used to racing. Actually, they've raced in the GT2 European Championship. They've raced in Porsche Carrera Cup France. And therefore a very French-heavy team with Patrick Charlet, Jordan Boisson, Mr. Drink, Benjamin Pack and Nico Bastien, the pro driver in the TFT Racing Mercedes. So that's a team to watch out for. And I apologise because over the next 12 hours tomorrow, Mr. Jordan Boisson is going to be known as Mr. Drink often, because Bertrand Baguette was always known as Bertie Breadstick. Times are coming in then. And I think the first car out on circuit is this Aston Martin, so Oliver Campos is going to be the first to set a lap time. The E2P Racing guys have really struggled with the Aston Martin over the first couple of rounds. They damaged an engine when Oliver spun the car at Mugello, and unfortunately, because the car has a clutch, he needed to pull the clutch in to allow the car to rotate backwards, and actually he didn't, so the engine rotated backwards and it went pop. I do remember some other issues at Spa, although memory's not as good as it used to be. Let's see how they get on here at Paul Ricard. The Aston Martin had a hapless Spa 24 hours, lots entered, and actually category victories, but not the overall this year. A little bit of flashing going on because there is the Viper Nisa Mercedes of Melvin Moe, the Malaysian team, just up ahead, and Oliver Campos on his brand new tyres does not want to be held up, and Moe gets out of the way.
Just looking at the entry list, Ben, I think we're only lacking a representative from BMW for all of our GT3 manufacturers.
Yes.
We've Mercedes, we've got Audi, we've got Lamborghini, Ferrari, and we, of course, got the Aston Martin that you've just been talking about there. E2P Racing, new to that car for 2025. They were more familiar with the Porsche, weren't they? And had some success with the Porsche. I'm sure they're getting to grips with the car. Just about to see the second of the laps being posted, and this one will be more representative as the cars that are, some cars still on their out lap, but majority of the field now on their second run, and this will be a more representative time of what we're likely to see being produced for this grid formation.
We did have 17 on the original entry list, but we do have 16 out on circuit. Can't remember, or haven't worked out yet which of car is missing from that original entry list. But we welcome also the Lamborghini of Prime Speed Sport, which is effectively a pretty much all Australian entry. Or is that a New Zealand flag? I think that's a New Zealand flag. And so they also have Mika Panu, who obviously you can tell because he's finished. By the way, I'm saying.
Yes, by the way, Ben has pronounced Mika Panu. You're not going to say John O'Lester in that sort of.
John O'Lester.
John
O'Lester was one of the forefathers of the GT World Challenge Asia Championship and front runner in 2017 and 18. Haven't seen him racing for a while with Nick Foster. On our entry list is Nicholas Foster, but Nick Foster was champion, I think, in GT World Challenge Asia at the very beginning of its life. So great to have those guys with us, and that's going to be a strong team, I think.
Yeah, the Prime Speed Sport Lamborghini Huracan, great car to not just watch, but to listen to as well. Very visceral engine note from that car. Talking of visceral engine notes, we are well represented by the Mercedes brand as well, the Mercedes AMG GT. The Red Ant car tops the timing screen at the moment with Kobe de Bruyke posting a 2-minute 4.1. Remember, same rules apply as to the previous classes that we've seen. This is the first qualifying sector, and it is amateur drivers that we're seeing posting these times in these cars. So we are going to see the cars going quicker in the second and third qualifying sessions. Kobe de Bruyke, though, 2-minute 4.18, 2-minute 4.317 for the Aston Martin of E2P Racing. Oliver Campos in the number 90 posting that one.
Can I just clarify before I get in trouble and cause an international incident that John O'Lester is from New Zealand, Mana Malmazak is from New Zealand, and Nick Foster is from Australia. The flags are too small for me to work out.
They are very small, yeah.
Prime Speed Sport is a New Zealand-based team.
Are we allowed to call them our Antipodean friends?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Probably that's what will come in my head, and that was therefore what would be wrong. Yeah. But either way, a mix.
It was 50-50, Ben.
Yeah, a mix of Australian, New Zealand, and Finn.
Yeah, brilliant. What a great lineup, and a very strong lineup, as you've said. I'm looking forward to see how they fare over a race distance. Third place is the Melvin Moe Viper Nisa Mercedes. We've got Mercedes 2, 3 and 4 as the Aston Martin has gone quicker. 2 minutes 3.984, just dipping into the 2-minute 3s for the first time today. we're going to see quicker times. Are we going to see a 2-minute flat, do you reckon?
Well, watching the second position, Kobe De Bruyke Mercedes, make a mistake in the final sector of the lap. He was purple in the first sector, he went green in the second, but now has backed off. And I think he's just backing off to give himself some gap, and then they'll go again. I noticed that the front bumper on that car and splitter is carbon naked, which means that they may have had a meeting with a bollard at some point to have to replace that during our practice session, because usually the livery would be all blue on that car. The onboard camera rides on board with Viper Nisa Racing of Melvin Moe. He turns his way through Senior. Wow, and the back end tries to snap away from him.
That grabbed his attention, didn't it? Melvin did well to hang on to that car. Just snapped away into a four-wheel drift through Sing Corner, which is a very, very fast corner. And then into that complex set of corners, which come to the end of the lap, using all of the track and more, just hitting a few bollards there through Dulac. And then Dupont ends the lap. The Aston across the line and not posting a quick time there, just looking for his last lap, showing us a 2-minute 3.9. So I'm still waiting for that update. Melvin Moe has gone quicker with a 2-minute 4.066 and puts the Viper Nisa Mercedes number 65, that's the green and grey car, the gunmetal grey with the bright green stripage, that's into second place now.
Stripage, nice.
It's a technical term, I suppose.
Mercedes the most represented, no, Audi most represented. 5 Audis plays 4 Mercedes. So even if Audi are moving away from GT3 to throw all of their eggs in the Formula 1 basket, every single egg, whether it be quail or whether it be ostrich, is in the F1 basket. And if it fails, then there's nothing to fall back on any longer, which for somebody who is less interested in Formula 1 and more interested in everything else, disappointment from Audi, but hopefully they'll come back to us one day. But there's no, obviously, therefore, no update or no Evo for the R8. It'll stick around, I think, until 2030 with a very limited customer support, but a bit like the Bentley, you know, you can run it, but you're not going to get a part if you have an issue, and there's certainly not going to be a Bentley specialist on hand at the circuit. And so we're really coming to the end of seeing those Audis, which have been a mainstay of GT3 racing since 2015 was the latest homologation of the R8.
That's 10 years ago.
Oh.
Has it not had an Evo homologate? Has it not had an Evo?
It has had an Evo package more recently,
yeah.
But the homologation is for the original car.
Yeah, 10 years ago. That's how old they are.
You know, we were talking about geeky facts. That's one of them.
Yeah, it's a great fact. We're inside of 5 minutes and final third of this first qualifying sector as the Hofer car goes through. Alexander Prince is the driver in the number 11 Hofer car. That's the pink stripes on the gunmetal grey car. Currently 5th overall with a 2 minutes 4.415 last time across the line. Polius Pasvexius in the RD Signs Lamborghini is 4th, just ahead of him, 2 minutes 4.276. Then we've got the red ant Mercedes with Kobe De Bruyke in 3rd, Melvin Moe with that Viper Nisa Mercedes in 2nd, and Oliver Campbell still hanging on to that provisional pole position with a 2 minutes 3.390. He's actually gone quicker last time by Ben, and he's improved slightly more. Into the pits, Prime Speed Sport have gone.
Is this going to be a pole position lap for Kobe De Bruyke? He's purple in Sector 1, green in Sector 2. He's not far off the pole position of a 3.3. Gosh, I didn't realise the Aston Martin had got down to a 3.3. So 2 minutes 3.3. He's actually got to find 0.8 of a second as Kobe De Bruyke to get anywhere near Oliver Campos's fastest lap. And yeah, he might be able to move himself forward a little bit, but it's that question between using the tyre versus getting the lap time. And Melvin Moe goes again as well. We've still got 3 minutes on the clock, so still possibilities of improvements. You are allowed to go 4 wheels off the racetrack. You're just not allowed to be 4 wheels over the curb. De Bruyke does improve, a 3.05, so just 0.2 of a second off Oliver Campos. Good improvement, but stays in second.
But yeah, gets him onto the front row, actually. He leapfrogs the Viper Nisa car of Melvin Moore. I'm surprised, Ben, at these AM drivers really taking the life out of these tyres. You know, post a good time, you're always going to go quicker the longer you stay out there. That's what's expected from an AM level driver. They tend to go quicker the more laps they do. They go quicker and quicker and quicker. Whereas your pro drivers, they'll optimize the lap, they'll put the lap time in, and then the car won't go any faster. So you know where you are with the pro drivers, which are coming next, I've got to say, in Q2 and Q3.
What about Melvin Moe? I think he got tripped up a little bit through Bosset, comes towards the line, and yes, it's not a better last sector of the lap, and may have to concede that he's not going to get any more lap time, or he will, but he'll give worse tyres off to his teammates. At the moment, Campos now in pit lane, Paskevicius also in pit lane, Tim Muller in the number 71 Jutta Racing Audi from 7th is in the pits, Prime Speed Lamborghini also in the pits, and Miroslav Vaibo in the 56 Ferrari Scuderia Prahal Championship leading car, down in 14th position there at 207.8. The average, therefore, is going to be quite a challenge, because that's 5 seconds off, 4 seconds off the pole time.
The Prime Speed Sport Lamborghini there in the pits, Mika Panu has brought the car in, currently 10th and 3rd in Pro-Am, 10th overall, 3rd in Pro-Am. We saw the mechanics there. The car's up on the jack, so the tyres are off the ground. That's so that the tyre won't, it's so soft, it's so hot, the tyre could flat spot just off sitting still, and they were spinning the wheels very slightly, just keeping the rotation going. That's so that there's no heat build-up on from the brake disc, so that there's no expansion issues there. They're keeping that rotating through there and just spreading the heat around.
South African sort of base team, Dragon Racing for Africa, over the line, 204.091, and that should slot them up into 7th position, shouldn't it?
They're based in the UAE though, aren't they, Dragon?
Right, okay.
Yeah. They certainly have a driver lineup that's representing the continent of Africa, isn't it? With South African and Axel Jeffries is Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Khalidal Marzouk is from the UAE, and then Ramaz Azam spoiling the African connection with a Canadian flag against his name, but he's still welcome in that car, no doubt, from Dragon.
Khalid there in the car, up to 4th position actually. I read the timing screens wrong. So really, really good lap in the Ferrari. Haas RT towards the line now with Peter Hulink, I think is how we've established to say it.
Hullinks.
Even though it's the G. We've verified it with YouTube. 10th position for Haas RT. If we're going to call it Hulink, we better call him Haas rather than Haas.
Oh, really? Is that how you would pronounce it in Belgium?
If you're French, yeah. If you're speaking French, no.
Well, French-Belgian, isn't it?
Pronounce only about half the letters.
Haas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, great effort from the Dragon Ferrari. Is he going again? Melvin Moe is going again. Melvin Moe pushing on another lap. We pick the Mercedes up. He's got himself down to a 3.745, so 2 minutes 3.745, which is still 4 tenths off Oliver Campos, but he's had a green first sector and should break the beam for that second sector any moment, and it's a 37.868, which is okay but not amazing. Just watching.
So he gets
towards
the end of the lap.
Final lap.
End of the lap, Ben.
And just wanted to see if he's going to improve or not.
Is he on an out lap?
No, just the sectors haven't been working on for some reason. Unless they've already deleted his lap time and decided not to compare him with anybody else. Comes now through the corner called Gare Labon, and now into Virage du Lac, with a little lake on the outside where they do jetting cars, and comes into the pit, so he's abandoned it. So we can now go down to Diana, who that's the last car into pit lane, and we have the pole position provisional after qualifying 1 with Diana Binks.
We do. Olivier Campos from the number 90 E2P Racing is here in the garage. Satisfied with the time you put in there?
Yeah, very, very satisfied. I'm very happy to see the car is quick. Everything's working fine. It's still a long qualifying, and anything can happen. The race is very long, but we're satisfied with the current pace we have, and looking forward for the race.
What was your approach going into that qualifying session?
Yeah, it takes a bit of time to warm up the tires to get them into the right temperature. So I just tried to go as fast as possible the first warm-up lap, and then I had to do 2 or 3 attempts for the fastest lap, and then eventually the last lap was the good one. So it just was keeping cool mind and trying to warm up the tires.
Were there any specific corners that you were maximising to get the time that you could?
Yeah, more than corners is approaching. Not more than a specific corner, is just approaching the corners, trying to brake as late as possible, trying to give as much speed as possible. The new tires give you this extra edge that you need to use it when the tires are new.
Did you enjoy it?
A lot. It's a beautiful car. It's a fantastic car to drive. The team is doing a great job with the setup, and everything works fine for this weekend. A bit hot, but it's good.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm led to understand that Aston Martin, which is one of the newer GT3 cars, is almost like driving a single-seater Formula 3 car, such as the amount of downforce that it now creates. And it's moving further and further away. You know, an Audi like this is closer to the characteristics of the GT4 car. It moves around a bit more. There's less aero as a bollard gets replaced. That's gone a long way.
If you're going to make the F3 comparison, then the F3 car was always felt underpowered for the amount of downforce and grip that it had.
Right.
So if that Aston is feeling like it's, you know, hasn't got the power to break traction or to push beyond that, and it's going to call for, and we saw that from Oliver Campos, didn't we? We saw very smooth lines around here. They're not throwing the car around. They are compromising certain parts of this Paul Ricard track to maximise entries and exit speeds onto things like onto the Mistral, onto the start-finish straight. You see an odd line through the penultimate corner, which is Dulac, and then you think, why are they all the way out there? It's because they're lining up the final corner. They're compromising Dulac to maximise DuPont, which is the final corner, which brings you out onto the start-finish straight. So we are seeing the technicalities of the Paul Ricard track really are brought home by the way these cars are being driven here.
And it's very difficult to get a good perception on just how tight that final turn is. There is the pont, the bridge, in the front of shot, which goes under the virage, which is the corner, du pont, the bridge. Virage du pont, it's corner over the bridge, and we just saw the bridge, and we saw the corner, so...
We had a bridge corner at Silverstone once, didn't we?
Of course,
yes. That's now the kart track.
Virage to bridge.
Now the kart track.
Now kart track, yeah.
I hope they're going to call that part of the kart track bridge.
Yeah.
I'll be very angry. I'll sternly worded letter already been formed in my head. Anyway, moving on. We've got the second of our qualifying segments coming up now. And this is where we see any of our drivers being put in. The first part of qualifying, we're only allowed, regulation-wise, only allowed to use AM drivers. This is where we see these cars being optimised. And no disrespect to the AM drivers that we've just seen lapping. This is where we're going to see what these cars can really do. And that bodes very well if you're in that E2P Racing Aston Martin, because with your teammates, Pablo Boguera and Antonio Saniero, who we know how quick Antonio is, it's going to be very, very tight at the front there.
Going to have to get yourself used to a new livery for Jutta Racing. The black and silver livery, I was frowning and going, what is that? I've never seen that
black and
before.
gold.
What did I say?
Silver.
Yeah, it's black and gold.
Yeah.
Tired, Joe.
You are very tired.
Haven't started yet.
Yes, I know, man.
Tom Jackson's aboard this car, Amir Naran and Francois Beziak, who is that an Australian or is that Australian or New Zealand? From down under somewhere. And it's a new entry, so it's under a new number. It's a New Zealand flag. Another New Zealander. Are we going to New Zealand? Is Creventic lining up a New Zealand race?
Taupo.
No, sorry, not starting.
Taupo.
Hampton Down, there's about 4 or 5. It's a bit like the UK. There's lots of world-class racetracks in a tiny space.
Yes.
Much like there is in France, actually. If you just really dig into French racetracks, yes, French GT go to 3 or 4 of them. and the better-known ones such as Nogaro and Paul Ricard and Manicourt. But then there's a whole level of other racetracks that exist, and some of them are spectacular.
Lebanon.
For one, yes.
What a spectacular track that is.
Yeah, Charade also is...
formerly Clermont-Ferrand, of course.
Clermont-Ferrand. Arnoux de Rhin was once upon a time a World Touring Car racetrack, part owned by Yvan Muller.
Qua's a little bit like riding your bicycle around your bathroom.
Well, there
isn't
is
it?
a bit, yeah. As is the Po racetrack, not the street circuit, but there is actually a racetrack in the hills. Yeah. Lose yourself in Googling French racetracks, and of course you've got all the street ones as well, like Angel something.
You speak fluent.
And Le Mans. I forgot about
Le Mans. Le Mans and the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans. You speak fluent French, so if you can't pronounce it, I've got no chance.
I've forgotten where it ends. Ramez Azam is now in the Dragon, but that's not the Dragon. That's the classic Utah 71, and that's got Arnus
Gesiauskas. Again, if you ask Arunus how you pronounce his surname, it will not sound out like anything what we're saying. So we do apologise to our Lithuanian friends.
Always great to have a good following of Lithuanians. There's another racetrack to Google.
Become a big part of this series, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. The Lithuanian 1,000 kilometres. That's something to lose yourself in.
Isn't that the one on the dual carriageways?
Dual carriageway.
The hairpin at the end.
It gets brought up every time we have a Lithuanian.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Does Lithuania have a racetrack? Oh, yes, it does. It's on a it's on a motorway, and it goes up one way, down the other, and then goes over the bridge to connect the two, and they go to a fuel station to fuel it up.
Brilliant.
Genius.
Here we go then. This is the first time, and it's going to be posted by the E2P racing car of the Antonio Saniero, and he was at the top of the screen with a 2-minute 4.769. However, Dragon Racing's Ferrari of Ramez Azam, the number 98 car, just going through the first section of corners here off the start-finish straight, has gone to the provisional pole with an aggregate time of 2 minutes 3.847. We have a Ferrari on the provisional pole. Early stages though, still 10 minutes of this session remaining, but a great lap there from Ramez Azam.
Purple sectors all over the place though, because we are early on in this second qualifying session, which combines with the first to give us an average. Remember, on your timing screen on the left-hand side, you're going to see the order of the average lap time, but you're going to see the fastest lap time from this session on the right-hand side of their names, just to slightly confuse matters. We are just starting to get those best times in qualifying 2 now. For the moment, Ramez has that best time. Best time of all from qualifying 1 was a 2 minutes 3.39, and we've already got a 3.3 from Manuel Lauck. Yes, of course, we've got Manuel Lauck setting the best time, and so Manuel Lauck has had it disallowed, actually. So it's gone. That's why, confusingly, he's sitting there in 7th position, but without a time. So we have to go again.
Jake Hill at the wheel of the year in motorsport Ferrari. Probably a good idea to announce our 4th member of our commentary team this weekend is Jake's dad, Simon. Simon Hill making his 24H Series debut with us. He'll be with us tomorrow for the 12-hour race in the booth with Ben and sometimes with me. And we look forward for Simon getting here to Paul Ricard. Jake, at the moment in the era Ferrari, 2 minutes 4.296, the car's quickest lap, down in 10th place overall, 4th in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, it was Dwight Merriman in the car in the first session, because there are 2 AMs in that car this weekend. Carl Tilley not part of the team elsewhere this weekend racing, and so they've replaced Kyle with a 2nd AM driver. But just looking at the timing screens, we're going to see a big lap from Joseph Kral, who is going to easily be the fastest out there. Already is with a 2:02.786. but Miroslav Vibo was only did a 2.7, and so we've got the Viper Nisa Mercedes in the wall, I'm afraid. How hard has he hit that wall? I would suggest it's skimmed along it, and we do have a red flag. So that's going to stop this session midway through, and that is going to stop the progress of Josef Kral, who was on
it, wasn't he?
On a middle sector that was even better. It's through Signe, and it's a big lose in the middle part of the lap, and then through the varying different grips, he's gone back across the circuit and smacked the inside wall. I have not seen an accident like that.
He's kept his foot in, is what happened there. He went way off. Thought he would go, because of the tarmac runoffs, you've got different grades of very, very harsh tarmac out there. And it looked like he kept his foot in to try and get the car back in the line. And unfortunately, the car snapped round, and by then he was out of control coming back across the track, didn't he?
And we heard Tracy Crone complaining about the Saharan dust. It's a big thing down here in the south of France, that the dust, if you have a big sandstorm over in the Sahara, that sand gets picked up into the air and then gets brought over into mainland Europe and gets deposited either here, which is obviously quite close to the Sahara and to Africa, or it can travel all the way into the Alps. And suddenly on a winter's day, you'll have sand falling from the sky on snow, and it will change the colour of the snow completely.
Really?
But we saw the Viper Nisa Mercedes there offline.
Yeah.
It is really very dirty.
Well, no one's driving out there, Ben, of course. He went
ideally.
Sing corner is a very, very fast corner. It's in no way flat out for these GT3 cars, but it's very, very close to. And in top gear as well. You come out of the Nord chicane. Remember the days when the Mistral straight didn't have a chicane? You would be hitting Sing absolutely optimized top speed in any car. However, we split the Mistral these days with the Nord chicane, but still the entry speed into Sing is nigh on just off flat. You need a bit of a confidence lift, I'm being told by the majority of drivers in the GT3 class. And Dominic Ang just getting a little bit wide there onto the dirty outside of the track, and then the car just coming round. Hopefully, Ben, and it did look like a big hit. It went in with the left front corner, and then the left rear corner slapped the rest of the wall. I believe we've got Di down there with Viper Nisa, so maybe she is able to shed some light onto the damage on that car. Di?
I am, yes, indeed. I'm with Douglas Kurt, Viper Nisa, the number 65. Douglas, thanks very much for chatting. First of all, how is he? Is he okay behind the wheel?
Sorry,
you've spoken to him behind the wheel?
Yes, he's okay. He's okay. I guess he just lost it on turn 10. It happens. Yeah, but I thought he'd be able to stop the car before he hit the wall. But we're there. So we don't know how bad the damage is currently, so we'll see.
Yeah, you'll be waiting on that to come back, then the team can have a look at it to see how it was. But the track is just changing constantly, isn't it? Quite dusty as well in parts.
It is dusty, it's hot, and yesterday in practice we were struggling with the car because, you know, with the heat and the tires, we just wasn't having any grip. But this morning we got it dialed in, and we were hoping to have a good quality, but yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Well, we're sorry to hear that. We're glad everything's relatively okay and that you'll be able to get the car back to have a look, and hopefully you can repair the car and get it out back on track.
I'm sure we'll be out tomorrow. So even though we start from the back, we're going to go, push it.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Douglas.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just hope that that energy hasn't transferred through and damaged the drivetrain. Left rear wheel taking a big hit, and that energy transfers all the way through the diff. Anyway, we'll speculate no more. We'll wait for the car to come back, and we'll get a full report on the car. I would think, Ben, it's out for the rest of the qualifying sessions.
It's a big effort from that Viper Nisa team, because they are based out in Malaysia, in Sepang. That's where the base is. They're regular in the Sepang 12 hours. We've seen them run touring cars for Melvin Moe in the Asian Touring Car Championships or Chinese Touring Car, and join the World Touring Car Championships when it goes to places like Macau or Shanghai. And so they've committed to the full championship of 24H Series because this is their best, this is their favourite championship to get the best sort of track time. And that car has not moved, I'm afraid, so still a bit of time before we go back to green flag. And it also suggests that maybe it won't roll under its own steam, I'm afraid. And
yeah, I tried to tow it there, but it just wasn't budging, which is never a good thing to see. So we'll be getting that car recovered. Gives us an opportunity to remind everybody when our coverage starts tomorrow, Ben.
9:30.
So 9:30 for our grid walk, which Dinah Binks will be taking us through the grid and having a chat to some of the starting drivers and indeed even some of the mechanics. I know Di's got a thing for speaking to mechanics, and she had a great chat with...
Got a thing for speaking to mechanics.
That sounded wrong, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, forgive me, Di. You know what I mean. She'll chat to anybody down there. Again, that sounded wrong. Didn't sound any better. But yeah, grid walk at 9:30, and then the race gets underway. Green flag flies at 10 a.m. and then we've got full and uninterrupted coverage of Ben's great love of 12-hour endurance sports car racing.
It's only, and I do love endurance racing. I can't not in love endurance racing. Can't even say it now. Having done 3 24-hour races in 3 weeks, so I do love endurance racing.
You've had your fill, have you?
A chilled weekend rather than a full 12 hours throughout the whole day would be preferable, especially with the heat. I blame the heat. Oh, Diana. Tell us, interrupt us, please.
Shall I save you from yourself?
Well, you have a go at Bradley, because he was having a go at you.
Yeah, sorry, Di. I do know you like to chat to people.
Well, I'm with Ari Cruz, who's the race director for Creventic, who's down here in the pit lane whilst this red flag situation is underway. A lot of cars, Ari, on the pit apron here. But what's the procedure that you have to take when we have a red flag like this during a qualifying session?
In general, we try to have the red flag situation as short as possible, so speed up recovery if possible, and then just decide if we restart yes or no, the qualifying session, and make sure that every car is on the park for May conditions, more or less. Not really, but they are not allowed to change tires. For the rest, it's okay, and then we have to look about that, and that's more or less our rest point.
So when the red flag situation comes, obviously the clock has stopped, so the clock will restart when you deem it ready for everyone to go back out on track.
Yes, that's correct, and we will pre-announce that for the teams so that they can prepare already at the end of the pit lane and waiting to the green light.
To get going again. Yeah. What's the sort of general area that happens down here when you've got this red flag? Everyone's waiting. The heat like this is makes it quite tricky, doesn't it? What's different when it's like the conditions are this hot?
Well, normally we have no special measurements, but everybody is probably going out the car, I assume, when they know it's a longer red, code red. So informing the team is the best way we can deal with the heat. That's it.
And get them back out as soon as possible. Ari, thank you so much just for giving us that quick update here as we're in the pit lane, waiting for the call to be made so that the teams can get back out on track. Some of the drivers have actually got out of the car, and they're obviously trying to stay as cool as possible while they sit here on the pit apron, waiting to get back out there to put those times in as much as they can. And also we're here outside Vipanisa, the number 65, waiting for that car to be brought back so we can have a look and see actually how much damage is in that car.
Careful with the sun there, Diana.
Yeah, there's no sign of any.
I'm moving out.
No sign of any of Binksy's bobble hats at Paul Ricard in the Côte d'Azur. It's a beautiful region. We've been racing here at Paul Ricard since 1970. It was the home of the French Grand Prix for many, many years, and many historic happenings have occurred here. Some good, some bad, but it's great. We've been coming here for 10 years now with the 24H series. And with the format that we're in the middle of qualifying 2, red flag with 7 minutes and 42 seconds remaining. Just give everybody a reminder what the regulations are and what format we are qualifying for, forming the grid tomorrow, I should say. So you've got 3 sessions of 15 minutes each. Each session must be entered with a different driver. The driver change during the session is not allowed. You've got to wait for the checkered flag before you then venture into the next session, which you then plug in your new driver. The first qualifying session must be with your AM driver if you've got one. You're not allowed to refuel the car. It's not allowed in between qualifying sessions, so you start qualifying 1 with enough fuel to get you literally 45 minutes of running, if not more, 50 minutes. And perhaps the most important thing, tyre changing is not allowed. You start the session on a full tank of fuel or a tank full of fuel, enough to get you through the 3 15-minute segments. And with one set of tyres, the AM driver in Q1, and this is the key part, the AM driver is the driver that gets those tyres at their optimum. The brand new set of tyres will come in on lap 2, maybe 3. That will be the optimum lap. And then the tyres will start to wear out, understandably. And those tyres in qualifying 2 and qualifying 3, where you are then going to plug in your silver, gold and even platinum drivers, your superstar drivers, they're going to be qualifying on a worn set of tyres, relatively speaking, but on low fuel. So they are going to get a lighter car, but the tyres are going to be starting to wear. So it's how you manage the tyres through those 2 qualifying sessions to give your optimum driver the best set of tyres, the best set of worn tyres you can perhaps find for his run in qualifying 3. Good news is, Ben, it's the Viper Nisa car is on a truck. Well, that's not good news for Viper Nisa, but the good news is that the car is being recovered back to the pits, and we should be getting things back underway soon.
Looking a little squished on the left-hand side, the rear wing end plate on the left-hand side missing, and for sure the rear axle not pointing in the direction it should be. The satellite systems are top of the hill overlooking the Paul Ricard circuit, also a famous hill climb venue and part of the local rally that happens around these parts in September time, I think. The hill climb's in March and the rally's in September. There are some fabulous roads even just around the racetrack, as well as the racetrack that was opened in 1970 by Paul Ricard, Mr. Paul Ricard, who also invented a spirit based on pastis called Ricard. We might be sampling a little bit of that later on as we tried the local Eau de Savoie eau de vie last night. We can try some local eau de vie here.
Quite a way north of here.
Oh yes,
night.
we were. No,
yes.
Exactly, yeah. But pastis is obligatory drunk down in these parts.
Is it grown from the grape in the area, in the region?
Pastis
is it made from the grape, I should say?
No, it's not made from grapes. No.
Oh, what's it made of? What, Ricard's not? Ricard, I thought it was like a wine base.
No, it's anise.
Aniseed?
Aniseed.
All right,
yeah.
So it's like a Pernod?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know your alcohol, Ben.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Green flag at the end of pit lane in approximately 5 seconds. And we'll get the cars back out on circuit. Some wanting to go out. I think we already had some already in pit lane. This is Q2. We're bang in the middle of Q2. So some cars had already managed to do a fast lap time, but only one. Others were just making their way onto their fast lap time. So yeah, I think we should see pretty much everyone back out on circuit. 16 cars started the session, 15 now remain. Manuel Lauk still not with a time to his name because he had his first time deleted, and so waiting for the Proton Uber competition, which is definitely one of my tipped pre-race favourites to get a lap time on the board. Orange and blue are the colours on that car.
And Manuel not spending any time whatsoever, getting on with it straight away. He hasn't posted in a time in qualifying 2, so this will be his outlap. He'll be preparing for maximising his second run and indeed his third and fourth to see if he can start shaving some time from that lap time from Q1. He needs to add to that so we can aggregate it and get him up the order. And we're pretty sure, Ben, aren't we? The Proton Huber competition Porsche is certainly a contender. A team missing from this race this year who have been very dominant here. They were very dominant in 2016, 2017, and were winners here last time out in the 12 hours in 2021 was the Herbert team, who were stalwarts in this in this series. They are not here this weekend, unfortunately.
And I wonder whether that's a victim of the proximity of all these races on top of each other. We've talked so much about the 3 24-hour races over the last 3 weeks being on top of each other, but for someone like Herbert, they would have been at the Nürburgring 24 hours, then a week later at the Spa 24 hours, and also depending just on how the car has coped with those 2 big challenges, you know, then to bring the car from Spa down to Paul Ricard for this weekend would have been a big ask.
Worn out cars. How many cars have you got?
Yeah,
you know,
and worn out drivers. You know, I know Ralph,
worn out
Byrne
budgets
did
as well.
Both. I think Ralph Byrne.
did both. Yeah. Manuel Lau across the line then to start what will be his first flyer of the session. We're going to see a representative time there. He's got a little bit of traffic up ahead of him in the form of the Lamborghini.
That needs to keep the wheels inside the white lines. He needs to keep all 4 wheels, he needs to keep 2 wheels inside the white line. On the outside, on the back of curbs, it's okay, as long as 2 wheels are on the curb. And
so that's quite a way off, Ben.
Yeah, it's quite a way off, yeah.
It's quite a way off.
Maybe a bit greedy with the chicane at Hotel and Aéroport. Did you know that turn 3 and turn 4 were called that? No, I didn't. Now he comes through turn 6, which is Vriage de la Saint-Baume, which is the local village down that far end of the circuit. Track limits being monitored at the outside turn 7 there, but everyone's sort of more of an acceleration zone.
That's the iconic Paul Ricard shot, though, isn't it? Tails away, onto the Mistral, across the curbs there, with the heat haze coming off the track. That is your iconic photograph there, Chris Lazenby, if you're watching. That's what we want to see from you. Chris Lazenby here, taking photographs as ever.
Bouncing over the curbs at the Nord chicane. If you are a geek of the 126 different layouts you can have here at Paul Ricard, we are using the Circuit 1CV2. It's got a sexy name. 1CV2. Now we're into the real meat of Beausset. Big right turn. And now into turn 12, which is Virage de Bendor. Again, I didn't remember it was called Bendor. Courbe du Garlaban is this long right-hander, and then to the end of the lap. Virage du Lac, which is the left, and then it's almost a hairpin. Virage du Pont, which you really need to maximize the run out of to get back onto another lap. Square it off if you want to start a lap, but on the end of the lap you don't want to do that. And the time is a 2:03.5. That is one of the best in this session and puts Proton actually only up to 13th. So he's going to have to do a big job, as does the teammate, to get that car up. Who was in the car the first session? Jörg Dreiser, I think. So that would have been the Am Spirit, it's called. But Manuel Lau and Klaus Bachler in that car should get that car higher up between the two of them.
Our good friend Paul Truswell, who's the strategist at Red Camel Jordan, is sitting there in the pit garage watching a group of men and women potentially putting a new engine into the 909 Red Camel's Porsche, has time to inform me of things. And one of the things he tells me is that, of course, the Herbert car was on the entry list. And I'm pretty sure I did see the Herbert car on the entry list. So I was quite baffled. The car, unfortunately, was written off on Thursday here in one of the private test sessions. Dennis Bourne, Ralph Bourne's son, had a big shunt. And so they were here. They were crazy enough to do the Nürburgring Spa and then come out to Paul Ricard. But unfortunately, damage on the car has taken the car off the entry list.
Okay, well, that explains things. There was us trying to give them a nice excuse, and unfortunately...
I had a bit of a brain fade there because I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I saw a Herbert car on the entry list, but no, it mustn't be here. Well, they're not going to continue their winning way, unfortunately. They've had to withdraw the car.
An improvement for Dragon Racing then, a 2:03.260 for Ramaz Azim, really doing a very good job in that 98 car. They have an advantage of 0.3 of a second over the Red Ant Mercedes, and the Aston Martin now down to 3rd position. Yes, Dave?
So with the Ramaz Azam Dragon car on the pole, 2 minutes 3.675 is the aggregate time, but a 2 minutes 3.260.
Apparently they've got issues with the RF camera, but we're coming down.
Ayrton Redon is in the Red Ant car in second. 2 minutes 3.967. Still very, very, very little in it. Last time by, not as quick as his fastest lap in Q2. And then in third place, Antonio Seniero. We've got the number 28, the Benjamin Pack TFT Racing Mercedes. That seemed, was he weaving there?
Yeah, so I think we caught him just as he was sliding off circuit through Beausset.
He's trying to get rid of the gravel, isn't he?
And he's trying to, well, clear.
Well, there's no gravel here. What am I talking
just
about?
clean his tyres up for the start of a lap. He goes instantly into turn one, very aggressive, attacking that first turn. And TFT know this circuit very well. Benjamin has raced a lot in the French Championship, so he is hoping to get that car up from 6th position right now. The two cars ahead of him, Jeff McKeels and Dominic Ang, both not setting more lap times. I wonder whether he was just running a little bit wide there as we cut away from the TFT Mercedes. But Benjamin Pack being Easter, so that's Easter Easter Benny?
Easter Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love your translations.
Check a flag.
So he's basically Benjamin Easter.
Yeah, he's Benjamin Easter.
If he was English.
Benny Easter.
But he's not, he's French.
And Ramaz Azim comes over the line and improved again to a 2:02.893. And that is not far off Josef Kral's best lap time. So that is really quite a performance from Razim, who is the... hang on.
Azam.
Looking at the wrong car.
Yeah.
Is he the AM in that car? I haven't got it on my edge list. No, he's a semi-pro. Okay, so that's perhaps
right. That's why.
Expect,
yeah, that's what we could expect. Only two cars into the 2-minute twos. You mentioned the Josef Kral car. That's currently down in 5th place in the Pro-Am class and lying 12th place overall. That's the quickest time of the day, and only the second car into the 2-minute twos is the Ramez Azam Dragon Racing Ferrari. So it's Dragon Racing. Ayrton Redon is still out there. He hasn't took the checkered flag yet, so we may see an improvement. He had a bit of a he backed off, and then he's gone quick again. 2-minute 4.011. That's his quickest time so far, last time through. Hangs on to that second place. It's a front row start provisionally for the Red Ant team. And then the second row at the moment looks like this. Antonio Seniero's just put the E2P Racing Aston Martin onto third. His lap time there, his quickest time, 2 minutes 4.769. And then the Haas, or the AS RT Audi, Jeff Michaels, or Machiels, Jeff Machiels, the number 21, rounding off the second row. Third row is Elia Earhart with the Sonderlock Junior Team Audi. 2 minutes 3.8 for Elliot. We know how quick he is. And then Dominic Ang, currently on the third row of the grid. However, the Viper Nice Racing Mercedes, that's the car, the bright green and silver car of Dominic Ang, the number 65, is the car that we saw into the wall there out of Sing Corner. And that car won't be taking any further part in this qualifying process. Will not be taking part in qualifying section 3, so we'll see that car drop to the back of the field.
One more session then for qualifying for our GT3 cars. It's been a little bit prolonged thanks to that Mercedes in the wall. And one last opportunity for the likes of Proton Uber Competition down in 13th, or Scuderia Praha in 12th position. Even Era in 14th, Jake Hill getting a time in. 0.8 of a second slower than Manuel Lauck and over a second slower than Josef Kral. That will be his bar to look at. I think Jake will be looking at Josef and seeing that gap and finding there's something missing. But really, Ramaz Azam, who is there with our RF camera, is the bit of the star of the show. Because with Dragon has absolutely smashed it. Jolie Lelaka just shaking hands with him from South Africa. Axel Jeffries, I noticed, about to get into the car. Absolute star of karting, Axel. And Khalid did the first part of qualifying. So Joly not qualifying that car with 4 drivers in that Pro-Am. But yeah, they all look pretty happy, don't they, down there in the garage?
Yeah, I think so. They've got to be happy with that time that was put in by the Dragon Ferrari. Great driving there, and putting them in a very strong position there with the third driver, Axel Jeffries, about to take the wheel of the number 98 and leading from the front. He will want to optimise. And remember, he's got less fuel in the car, so the car getting lighter and lighter, and probably the lightest it's going to be in qualifying is about what we're about to see. All right, the tyres have been quite worn. I haven't got any data in front of me. The data's disappeared. It will reappear. The tyre age of the set of tyres that's going to be on the 98, and we'll compare them with the 3 or 4 cars that are up near the front of the grid. But this could all change, of course, because it's all about the average lap time here. Let's head back down to Dragon in the pit garage where Diana Binks has grabbed hold of that driver. Not literally.
So you've just jumped out of the car. The guys were obviously having a quick chat with you, but a super impressive performance. How satisfied are you with the times that you achieved in that qualifying section?
Yeah, really happy. I was on for a similar time before the red flag and thought it would be difficult after the tires cooled down. But luckily I had 2 laps. First lap just to warm up and kept a clean lap together in the second lap, and quite happy with that.
How much is everything evolving out on the track, and how different is the car handling?
It's really hard. It's hard to say. Every lap's quite unpredictable. You have to underdrive, otherwise you're going to make a mistake. And so I'm kind of just underdriving in the corners and clean exits, and it's working for me. So I'm sure it's the same for everyone, that everyone's struggling. It's quite hot out there.
What's the secret to getting a quick lap around here when the conditions are like this? I know you've got just the GT3 class at the moment, so less traffic.
Just no mistakes, just a clean lap, clean exits everywhere, and that's all, really.
And how would you describe the challenges of this circuit to get the performance that you need?
It's a mix of fast and slow corners, so you have to find a balance of the car that works for all things. So we're kind of settled on something that's not optimal for lap time, but it's good for, especially for tomorrow for a long race. So, yeah, I mean, just stay out of trouble tomorrow, keep it clean, good pace, keep it out the garage, no penalties. That's the strategy.
Well, it's good to see Dragon Racing here on the European Series. How happy were you to be here for the 12 hours of Paul Ricard?
So Dragon are my local team. I live in Dubai. I work with them a lot in the UAE. And they're kind of like my racing family, so I was really happy to join them here in Europe with the Into Africa boys, with Axel and Exo, and Khalid, who I coach in Dubai as well. He's making so much progress. He's come a long way from Challenge to now racing GT3, doing amazing. He did amazing in Q1, really good job, and yeah, really happy to be here.
The circuits are not similar, but it seems like the heat might be.
Yeah, the heat is quite similar, and actually this is probably the only circuit that's like the circuits we have in the UAE, just run off for days and no grass just after the white line, so it's easy to push on these kind of tracks. That's what we're used to.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gives you a little bit of colour as to Ramaz Azam's work, and based out in Dubai, even though racing with a Canadian flag here. Actually hasn't done a lot of racing on and off in karting and in sim racing, and then when the 24H series has been over in the Middle East, he's been part of that with Dragon, but hasn't done much outside of that. So showing his skills and showing his abilities here on the international scene. And now in that car, Axel Jeffries, who is a bit of a star if you've not heard of Axel. Again, up through the karting ranks, but he is a young charger who we expect to see with great things. And obviously it's himself and Zoli Letlaka partnering to Dubai races for this appearance here at Paul Ricard, and instantly goes purple in the first sector.
They're a good squad as well, aren't they? They're well prepped and got a lot of experience, so they've got to be there as contenders to run at the front of this 12-hour race tomorrow. Jeffries on his outlap will see just what he can put. What level of karting did he race at? Was it like okay?
Ramaz.
Jeffries.
Axel's was absolutely the very, very high end of
European karting.
European karting, right. Yeah. I commentated on him on European karting back in 2008. And he is purple, but
yeah.
We're not comparing it to very much at the moment because there isn't very many cars getting proper lap times in. Wow, it was super good round seeing you there. Had the car moving around underneath him. Did actually do GP2 and FIA Formula 2 and became the Lamborghini World Finals champion. So Axel has taken a bit of a left and a right route towards pro racing driving, but absolutely one of the stars. Perhaps if he had more money behind him, would be somewhere very different.
On the single-seater ladder, yeah. Finding a home, though, in endurance racing in the sports car world, as many, many hot shoes do. Here he comes then. What's the lap time? It's invariably going to be the quickest lap of this third session, with purple sectors showing 2 minutes 3.170, not quite into the 2 minute 2s, which was the quickest time from his teammate, but that was his first hot lap. This is perhaps where he'll get a little bit more speed from the car. Nick Foster in the Prime Speed Sport Lamborghini has gone up to second place. His time there, 2 minutes 5. He's just been demoted to third by Andrei Sulikovitsev from the Continental Racing by Simpson Audi. So Julian Simpson's Continental Racing team with their Audi R8 into second place with a 2 minute 6.7 from Andrei.
Nico Bastian in the TFT Mercedes doing a 2:03.3 on his first attempt. We've got some really, really big names now out there on circuit, and that puts Bastien and TFT up to second position in the average times, but still 0.6 of a second behind Axel Jeffries and the Racing for Africa Dragon Racing at Ferrari. Still waiting for times from Pierre Caffer, who's out there, and Klaus Bachler as well. Tom Jackson should be strong in the 72 Jutta Racing Audi.
Ryan DL has put the Era Motorsport Ferrari up into 6th. So his first time there, just putting that average speed further and further up the order. E2P Racing has dropped down the order a little bit. Pablo Bergera at the wheel of the Aston Martin now in 8th, but it's all changing at the front there as Pierre Caffer into third for the Santalok team. As I say that, down to 4th he goes, as Axel Jeffries still maintaining that lead at the top of the timing screens.
Yeah, because it was Yannick Redin just finished a lap time and got himself just ahead of Nico Bastien, just a fraction by 2 hundredths of a second, following the 71 of Nicolas Michelin towards the line, and 6th position at the moment. Will this be an improvement? No, a 2:06.3. Everyone above is stronger, so that 71 Jutta Racing stays in 6th spot in qualifying. Row 3 for tomorrow's 12 hours of Paul Ricard. As we now switch our attention to Proton Uber, Klaus Bachler in the 73 car. Purple, first sector. One of the fastest drivers, the fastest driver, in fact, out in qualifying 3 with a 2:02.8. But we have seen, no, we have not seen a faster lap time than Klaus Bachler managed on his last lap. And he's found purple, and 3.5 tenths. He might have a slow car ahead of him, but he's nice and controlled through Senior and now towards Bousset. It's a long right-hander where you were asking so much of the front left tyre. But the car looks planted. It's not moving around like we've seen from so many others. Is this Mercedes ahead of him going to be compliant and get out of his way so he doesn't get held up through Virage du Lac and Virage du Pont? I think the answer is no, I'm afraid. And hopefully Klaus Bachler doesn't get held up because he's on a really fast lap. Oh no, RAFA Racing. This is Chantal Prince aboard that car, right in the way on the final couple of corners. And Bachler needs to almost give her a push across the line. Is it going to be a better lap time despite the Mercedes ahead? The answer is no. He got held up at the end. 2:02.5. It was a faster lap time, but the final sector was slower.
Fastest time of the day, was it? Yes, 2 minutes 2.5. Fastest time of the session so far.
Pierre Caffer improved to put the average of the Santalot Junior team up to 2nd position. I think our timing screen has on the screen has died on that left-hand side. It does not replicate what we're seeing on our timing screens. Maybe the red flag hurt it.
Yeah, close battle though. He did cost him a few tenths, didn't it, behind Chantal, who was doing her own job, of course, not in any way, shape or form deliberately getting in the way. It just is how the planets align sometimes. So the 28 Nico Bastien, TFT Racing, the 2-minute 3.964 is his average now, with a 2-minute 3.445, just a tenth off his quickest time. So Bastien just doing a bit of a cool down lap, and here he goes across the line. What's he just put in now? It is quicker. Yes, it is. 2 minutes 3.159 for Bastien. So keeping the pressure on and going onto the front row. Look at how tight that is, Ben. The average times, 2 minutes 3.333. That's the number 98 Dragon Racing Ferrari's average time.
Clear.
2 minutes. So we're going to go from 2nd down to 4th, and it's 2 minutes 3.912, 2 minutes 3.925, 2 minutes 3.945, and that's Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes from TFT, Sonderlock and Red Ant.
Big loose moment from Axel Jeffries there through senior. He was, I think, all 4 wheels off the circuit, so this lap might be disallowed, but he's green in 1st and 2nd sectors, so he's looking like he may improve. I don't know actually who's got the ultimate sector 1 and sector 2, because he's green in both rather than purple, and if he had the purple sectors, then it would be him that he's bettering. But now to the final couple of corners. Senior is in that final sector of the lap. He's plus 0.2 of a second on his fastest lap and comes towards the line. He doesn't need to improve, but he does improve again. 202.893. 202, I'm sure that's slower than what we saw previously. Anyway.
So he continues as well. Not happy with not improving. We might see a little bit of a cool off. We might be able to tell by the time Axel Jeffries gets through the sectors. The tyre age on that Ferrari is 20 laps. So we are using them well, and with a 2 minutes 2.893, not quite as quick as some of the times we've seen.
We'll expect a tyre to do around 30 to 35 laps during the race to get themselves to that hour mark in full flat-out racing conditions.
Shows how strong the tyre is that we're
to get that time
with these qualifying times, with 20 laps of usage on them. I mean, the Nico Bastien car in 2nd, they've done 20 laps now. The car of Pierre Caffer, they've done 18 laps. They're in 3rd. Yannick Redont has done 17 laps. So there's not really any kind of tyre usage advantage, other than perhaps the Scuderia Praha Ferrari that's only done 14 laps. Denis Vasek at the wheel of the number 56 Scuderia Praha car. They're in 6th, and they've perhaps done the least amount of laps. As I say that, I spot the 10 laps for the RD Sainz Lamborghini, Paulus Ruski's in the pits, actually. That's why. So I wonder if that car's got a problem. Down in 14th overall, the number 96 RD Sainz Lamborghini is into the pits a little prematurely, I'd say.
Still a couple of green sectors coming up on the timing screens. Nick Hulinks we're watching in the Haas RT, son of Peter, and sharing that car with Jeff McKeels, who is the semi-pro, who's also son of, but dad not part of a 4-man team there. And it's going to be an improvement from him. They're down in 13th position, though. My timing screen says, 12th position, that's correct. But there's quite a difference to make up for Nick to improve that lap time. And Nicola even, Michelin just ahead in 11th position, comes over the line and does not improve their lap time. Maybe improvements from Nick Foster in the Lamborghini Prime Speedport in 8th position. We've got 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining. We pick up the Audi that sits in 4th position of Pierre Caffer. That's the long-time colours of Caffer and Doppelmayr. We welcome the two of them back to the championship this weekend. Great to have Doppelmayr and Caffer, formidable duo. They're sharing that car they're running with Santalok, so they're with a different team, and they're sharing that car with 3 others: Ella Earhart, Ernst Inderbitzen, and Philippe Châtelet. Philippe Châtelet, although he's an AM, he's a very fast AM. He's probably as AM as Ella Earhart, to be fair, and I noticed that Ella has now been rated as a semi-pro. So watch out for Santalok, especially as they have managed to qualify at the moment in 4th position. There's no improvement from Pierre, but there may well be an improvement from Klaus Bachler. No, he's slow in the final sector. And what happened to the Aston Martin? Dropped all the way down with Paulo Boguera to 10th position after a really strong Q1 and Q2.
Yeah, I think their average just kind of seeped away from them, and they are now on the 5th row, or provisionally on the 5th row. We've got the front row of the grid that is provisionally formed. They have both come into the pits now. That's Axel Jeffries in the Dragon Racing Ferrari. 2 minutes 3.292 is their average time between the 3 drivers. Yannick Redant in the Red Ant Racing Mercedes. They're currently sharing the front row with Jeffries and the Dragon car. Meanwhile, the number 28 of Nico Bastien, the TFT Racing Mercedes, that continues to lap. And the last time through, 2 minutes 2.952, personal best for the yellow and black car. However, Nico's not done now. As the checkered flag flies, this will be his final lap.
He needs to find 0.5 of a second and comes through the final couple of curves. Is there any cars ahead of him? I don't think there is. He was very much on the edge of track limits through Senior, bouncing his way through that super fast right-hander. Comes through the final turn now, lets the car run as wide as he possibly dares. The middle sector wasn't fantastic. It's a purple final sector, but and it's a faster lap time than Axel Jeffries. That is the fastest. It's not the fastest lap time of the day because Klaus Bachler did a 2:02.5, but Bastien solidifies that front row start for TFT.
No, sorry, no, he doesn't. He doesn't get onto the front row.
Oh, does that mean he get disallowed?
That is a personal best lap time. That's the quickest the car has gone in that session. In fact, the whole of the qualifying. However, on average, it's still fractionally slower than the Red Ant car ahead of it. So not enough to put it onto the second row.
Yeah, just
I don't know what the timing screen. That timing screen showing us. That timing screen on the screen that you're seeing is the lap times, the fastest lap times of this session.
Yeah, but the order is completely wrong.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, which is not the order of qualifying. That's the order of Q3. The order of qualify. Is that not even the order of Q3?
No.
Right, okay.
Klaus Bachler went faster again, by the way. Whilst we've been seeing TFT doing some off-roading, Klaus Bachler did a 2:02.333. Don't think it changed his position, but he ended up 5th spot. Obviously, we never saw that car at Spa because they had a problem really early on, so we never really saw it being pedalled fast. And I'm looking forward to seeing the 73 go well. That looks to be everyone taking the checkered flag, or certainly not improving. So we can go down to Diana, who's in the pits.
I am with the provisional pole sitter. The Dragon Racing team, Axel Jeffries, has just jumped out from behind the car. Axel, were you satisfied with that performance that you put in there today?
I mean, overall satisfied for the team. Everyone's done a great job. Obviously, this is the first round we're doing as Into Africa Racing with Dragon Racing. So to come here and put it on pole, it's very nice. I think my teammates did mega. Khalid was great. It's his first time racing in Europe. Ramez, as always, was amazing, and then they made it easy for me. So I didn't have as many laps as I wanted to because we let them run a bit longer, but it was more than good enough for pole, so I'm happy.
We always ask drivers, what did you learn each lap to give you the confidence to keep pushing? What did you learn each lap?
To be honest, qualifying was completely different to the other laps we've done over the weekend. I felt like the lines changed quite a lot, which I think is why you saw everyone was kind of improving, even though we're on a U set. So yeah, you're just learning kind of different approaches, how to attack certain corners. but you're always learning in the car.
Were there ever any corners or any parts or sectors that you were really maximising to get as much out of the car as you could?
I mean, our car felt great in the high-speed corners, so there we could kind of push. I think we had quite a big moment in seeing. But the rest was just to do a clean lap. Obviously, it's combined qualifying, so no egos here. Even though we'd like to be quickest, we just wanted to get the combined pole.
Well, it's a great debut for the European Series this year.
No, it is. Thanks for having us here as well.
Thanks for having us. We're absolutely welcome to see. It's a welcome sight to see a team like Dragon Racing bringing the likes of Axel Jeffries and his teammates to the 24H series. We want to see you here more.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Axel Jeffries, also the reigning LM GT3 champion in the European Le Mans Series last year. He really has jumped about all over the place as he's trying to secure himself sort of professional driving. And now working alongside the man in the middle of shot there, who will be in the car tomorrow, hasn't featured in this qualifying session, and that's, I think we're saying Sholi Let Laka. And so 2 African drivers and 2 Middle Eastern drivers in the Dragon Racing for Africa car. There was a Racing for Africa a long time ago, which Sam Collins established with a couple of guys. Sam Collins, the F1 journalist. It never raced in British GT because the people who he was partnering with didn't turn up with the money on race 1, sadly. But yes, the idea has happened before. Confirmation then of the combined results of qualifying, and Dragon Racing have the pole position on their first attempt here at Paul Ricard, thanks to an amazing lap from Axel Jeffries and also from teammate Ramaz Azam, and the average a good half second faster than Relant Racing, with TFT, the local French team, in 3rd position. And we welcome back Doppelmayr, Kaffer, Earhart in the number 18 Audi in 4th spot. The Malaysians in 5th, I'm sure that's wrong because they didn't set a lap time in Q3, so they will be removed from that. And then it is Proton competition in 6th, with the Ferrari of Josef Kraul and Weibo in 7th position, Utah Racing down in 8th, and the rest of the top 10. 16 qualifiers in GT3, and the last will be Viper Nisa Racing in 16th spot, having not completed a lap time in qualifying 3. Utah Racing down there in 15th, Hoffa Racing in 13th. Bit of a shock after their pole position in Spa a few races ago. And so that is qualifying done here at Paul Ricard. It's a 12-hour straight-through race tomorrow, starting at 10 o'clock local time here at Paul Ricard, and going through into the sunset at 10 o'clock at night. It's going to be a sweltering day. And those guys are your pole position car. An entertaining GT3 qualifying session. 3 qualifying sessions, average across those 3, set the grid for our 12-hour race tomorrow. And the AMs go out in the first session, as is obligated by the rule set. But we did have a red flag in the middle of Q2, which meant a bit of hanging around and waiting, and some bollard replacement before we got times back on the board. Aston Martin super fast in the early part of the session. This was the incident that caused that red flag. We do hope that Viper Nisa Mercedes is with us tomorrow after that slap against the concrete wall. But Aston Martin fast in the early part, and then Dragon coming on song in the second half of Q2 and Q3. Nico Bastiat for TFT Racing, very strong in 3rd. Renault Racing 2nd, but it is Dragon Racing on the pole position. And it is all smiles for Axel Jeffries and team. Well, that's it for action here at Paul Ricard today. Make sure you join us 10 o'clock local time for the race, the grid walk with Diana Binks at 9:30 CEST. Have a very wonderful Friday evening or Friday or Saturday, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you for the 12 hours of Paul Ricard tomorrow.
Q1Q Pharmacy, quality healthcare at affordable price.
Holidays nale, adu namma GT Holidays da. South India's #1 travel brand.
Archie Badam Drink.
ஆச்சி பாதாம் ட்ரிங்க் ஒன்னு வாங்கினா ஒன்னு ஃப்ரீ.
Q1Q Pharmacy, quality healthcare at affordable price.
Holidays nale, adu namma GT Holidays da. South India's #1 travel brand.
Archie Badam Drink.
ஆச்சி பாதாம் ட்ரிங்க் ஒன்னு வாங்கினா ஒன்னு ஃப்ரீ.